Hello everyone, today I'm shooting another video. It's probably gonna be about Tudor Henry Edward or another Romanian player from the European Chess Championship. And yeah, we should get started as soon as possible. I don't think I have anything to say prior to that with the big image. Just just so that I'll try to be quite consistent with posting on YouTube. Now I grabbed my phone because I want to also set up a stopwatch, just to basically, or like a timer, just to basically don't go too much overboard with my analysis, right? So I'm just gonna open a one for 10 minutes. And yeah, if you don't know who I am, if you're new to the channel, first of all, you can see that that there Mr. Fighter Chess can see that nickname or my real name, Veneziano Mihai. I'm from Romania, and of course I do chess videos. And yeah, I'm just a guy, a player, a trainer, an instructor, and just a human, I guess so. And of course, my FIDE rating is like 2100, 30 something, and yeah, my online rating is 2700. Just to put that in perspective and just to present myself a little bit. And of course, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. It will help me very, very much. And now, how do I do it? How do I shoot these clips? Is just basically making the image smaller for my camera and just sharing my screen. So okay, you might ask, why am I not doing this on stream? Well, it's because it's quieter like this and recording, and I have more control. And yeah, later on I just upload the clip. It's also a little bit selfish because I do it all on my own, but I can focus more and I don't have any distractions. But yeah, well, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I like doing a recording. I like doing a video, kind of a little bit more than doing a live stream because, I just can focus and I can just say like a monologue and people can listen to me. Sometimes it's pleasing. So anyway, European Individual Chess Championship 2026. This has already finished 1 week ago exactly, as we are on April 27 now. It's Monday, and it finished on 20 April. It was between 6 and 20 April. You can do the maths. It's 14 days, so 2 weeks in Polis, not Polis, Poland, in Katowice, Poland. I hope I pronounced it, or Katowice, but Katowice. I think you pronounce it as a Polish. Classical Swiss, 100,000 euros as the prize fund, and the first place is 20,000 euros. And I see that the last place is around 1,000 euros somethings. And between before the 10th place is 2,500. And yeah, yeah, you can have some thousands over here of euros. It should be added more, in my opinion. If you multiply by 10, then I would love it. Yeah, first place should be 200,000 and 150,000. 10th place should be 25,000. And, the last place is $10,000 because, let's make it big. Why not make it big? I know it's Europe, it should be America, but chess should be respected and should be treated like tennis, and boxing and soccer or football, basketball, and yeah, prize money should be more. Okay, so you see the location over here, some pictures, previous champions, Matthias Bluebom, 2025, Alexander Injic in 2024, Sarana Alexei in 2023, Matthias Bluebom in 2022. Wow, he won it two times, the European Championship. That's impressive. Anton Demchenko in 2021 and Vladislav Artemiev in 2019. And in 2020, it seems that it wasn't played as it was pandemic COVID. We have a lot of runner-ups also. And yeah, I think I saw Niels Grandelius twice, or no, I did not. But you can see also the young Vincent Keimer. But today, anyway, you guys could have skipped to this part where I go to the player and I show you the games. So I had in mind Tudor Henry Edward, and one thing that I want to do is just close everything that I have opened up on my PC because I don't want my PC to be very slow, okay, as I'm recording, and it's, oh no, I closed the browser. Well, it's okay because I'm just reopening it up right now, but I'm just closing everything in the bar down below, as I don't need any distractions, I don't need any extra carriage, and I don't need anything. Also, well, I'll keep Microsoft Teams because I need to do something. I need to make a link for the next session with one of my students, my clients, basically. All right, so let's see. For sure, we have to watch the games from Bogdan Daniel Dak too, and David Gavrilescu, or Gavrilescu, if you pronounce it in English. But I had in mind Tudor Henry Edward, as he's very young. I think he's like 14 years old, and he plays some interesting chess, and he's very high rated too. 2457. He's an IM, an international master. He already has a picture. He's very smiley and very happy. And when he was coming up, like 1400 elo, he played against me and he won, which I mean, he was a bright star even then, you know, like he played very well. I played very badly. I was around 1900 or 2000 FIDE. We played in a classical match and I was very upset. He was like 1400 elo, you know, and he just increased his rating by 1000 elo FIDE in the span of like 6 years or 7 years or something like that. It's just crazy. 7 years up to 8 years. It's just crazy. It's just this kid is insane. He's very strong. He's very good. So let's see the first game of his. You guys have already seen how much I've recorded, like 7 minutes. So not too bad of an introduction, I guess, if the clip is gonna be long. But I have my timer over here and I know when to stop at the very least, or just to organize my time a little bit better. And so Harry Tudor was playing against Andrzej Zeisel, a guy from Poland, 21-17 ELO, 21-17. All right, so the difference is like 340. Easy maths of ELO, right? Okay, so the game starts with pawn to d4 by white, knight to f6 by Henry, bishop to g5. Immediately the Trompovsky, that's quite bold. Play the Trompovsky against an IM. Well, he was trying to go for the throat and go for the win against the kid. But the kid doesn't falter. He just knows a lot of theory, and he plays c5 and pawn to d5 now by Andrzej, and pawn to d6. And I forgot to mention, I also know Henry, you know, because it's one of the players that I have a sympathy to talk to, you know. He's I asked him the last time I saw him in Timișoara at the championship for, you know, a Romanian championship, and asking how he did in the game. We talked for a little bit after the game, and he's a funny guy. He's a funny boy, you know, like he's also nice. I like how he's speaking. He's very respectful though too, which he shouldn't be of me. I'm just kidding. All right, so we have d5, d6, and knight c3. An interesting line against the Trompovsky, just placing the pawns on the dark squares and going for like a king's Indian setup. You know, maybe we have some ideas of queen b6, a6, b5. You know, I say we maybe I'm on the side of Henry as I'm watching the game from his side. You know, it's like I'm supporting his side. So pawn to h6, asking the question of the bishop, and the bishop just retreats. Of course, if you came all the way, it also makes sense to capture. Um, you can capture both ways. I'm honestly, I'm not quite sure which would be the best, and I don't even know why h6 was being played in the first place. Well, I've explained it, but I'm not sure if you are comfortable as black with this. Maybe you play rook g8. Okay, a rook g8 and a bishop to g7. If it comes to that, maybe you don't even have to play bishop to g7, just rook g8 and knight d7 or something. I'm just curious about the analysis. Okay, so it gives the white a very big edge. So, okay, this is the wrong move. So obviously I didn't like that. I much better like taking with the e pawn. And for instance, if white goes e4, pawn to g6, knight f3, bishop to g7, bishop to somewhere, d3, let's say, castles, rook e8, rook e1 can happen. queen d2 next, rook a1, something like that. Or without queen d2, maybe knight d2, knight c4 also. It's just the fact that it's better than with the previous line that I've mentioned. So not g takes f6, but e takes f6 if the bishop had captured. But we have bishop to d2 by Andrzej and pawn to b5 directly by Tudor Henry. So, okay, Tudor is his last name, so I guess I'm gonna call him Henry from now on. Knight takes b5 and knight takes d5. This was the whole idea, giving up the b5 pawn for the pawn on d5. And otherwise, if you don't capture it with something like e4, b4, I'm just kicking your knight. Or if you're trying to overprotect d5 with something like bishop c1, just b4 again, knight b1, and I get more space. That was the whole idea. But okay, it's always good to give a side pawn for a central pawn, so that's what happens. Pawn to e4 by white, knight to f6, e5, d takes e5 we have over here, and white is very ambitious. He plays for the initiative. There goes my timer for 10 minutes and 20 seconds, and I opened up another one just to know how I'm managing my time, and I'm showing each game and each round. But this was a very ambitious move, pawn to e5. It's just a pawn sacrifice for like attack, the initiative and stuff like that. And he goes queen f3, and we need to take into account also the time clocks. 51 minutes for white and 59 minutes for Henry. And yeah, so there's an 8-minute lead. Pawn to e4. I'm sorry for this big pause. It's just that I remembered of something. Unfortunately, like my one of the chess lessons that I've just had, and yeah, okay, I'm just gonna pass the moment. I'm not gonna talk about it. Anyway, pawn to e4 as the queen was attacking the rook. So it turns out to me that black just is up a pawn for good, and he just needs to finish development. So queen to a3, putting some pressure over here and playing very provocatively. Knight to c6, and he thought up until minute 35, and I don't know if I agree with that decision, but of course you have to take into account what happens if e5 or e6. e5 is like the most ambitious one, taking control of the whole center, opening up a defense from the bishop also, and it's just very natural to me. Maybe he was still gonna castle and have some discovered attack, which is quite unpleasant on the queen over here. And here it's only 0-0. But oh, there was bishop to a5. So that was the problem with a +4 advantage for white. So that's why knight to c6 has been played and was being played in the first place. So knight to c6, immediately stopping bishop to a5. Of course, as I'm a little bit sleepy or on my thoughts, or how we say in Romanian, cu capul în nori, which means with the head inside the clouds. And yeah, I just wasn't suspecting anything bad after e5 or e6, but bishop to a5 is a major threat. So knight to c6, as this is my first impression of the game. This is how I see it for the first time. Like, then my question is, okay, why not just queen takes c5? Well, perhaps black is just fine if you play something like queen b6 or something. No? Okay, no. This is +4 because again, why am I smoking? This is like ghosts I'm seeing. I'm just hallucinating queen d7, knight takes a8. Um, that I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing knight c7, a simple tactic. I'm just a little bit in my mind, in my head, I'm getting it through in. But you can play bishop d7. You just need to defend the knight. You don't need to trade queens. You keep control of c7. There's nothing here. And if you castle, then you kick away the knight first, of course. I'm just reading the engine suggestions as a godmother does, but at least I'm showing it on the screen right now. And queen c4. I know it's a little bit distracting as you see the bar and all the evaluation and stuff here. But okay, e6, knight takes e4, and after you play something like this, where you give up a pawn again, and you're down a pawn with black, you have quite some nice development and pieces in the center and some open files to attack the white king, and it's just good. You don't want to trade knights as of yet, and then I see the engine suggestion, just queen b6, and I don't know, you have all kinds of ideas, even bishop to a3 with that battery coming in, and it's just a nice position for black. just to conclude it in that way. And I cannot put a mark on the on knight d5. I wonder if I can, if my analysis will be saved up. I hope so. Yeah, I think so because this is self-analysis, but I wonder why. Okay, I cannot do like a mark because I need to save it to a collection first. And after I save, but if I save it too early, then if I save it too early, then the next moves from move 11, the next analysis will not be placed, will not be saved, if that makes sense. Like, it will only be saved what we have covered so far, right? Okay, so white just castled, and just so before I close down the engine analysis and the bar, just that black has an advantage with plus 0.5 with like e5, and he did not play this, but Henry played bishop to d7, and it's a natural move, human move that just closes down this um, path from the white rook. But I need to hurry up a little bit as I'm taking too much time for the first game. And okay, bishop to e3 by Andrzej, and then a6, just kicking the knight away. Knight to c3, the knight goes back, and pawn to e6. As we need to develop, we need to control the center, and then we need to castle. And we need to defend the pawn on c5. So bishop takes, now and bishop takes, queen takes, and knight e7. So 4, 5, 6, black has 6, and white has 3 and 3, that's 6 pawns are equal. So queen e5, at the very least, now that I'm doing the clip, I'm wide awake, and I'm fully rested, and I can talk with an open mind. But you saw then in my last clip that I was, without sleep, I still got maybe a better commentary. I wasn't missing like a simple fork of knight c7, checking the king and winning the rook. But anyway, knight g6 we have by Henry, and they are using a lot of time, especially Henry, down to 11 minutes after just 16 moves. And then queen d4. And let me remind you guys, just you need to reach move 40 to reach the time control, and at the time control you get 30 minutes bonus extra time. So queen d4 by white, queen c7 by Henry, just getting out of the pin and just getting ready to castle. And queen d6, white stops that, but you have to capture queen takes d6, but he gives up, the a move. He gives up a move because you just take and you can play king e7. But he didn't do that yet. I don't know why. Why are you not just playing king e7, sir? Little boy. Like, okay, he's not so little anymore. Anyway, rook h8 was the point. But okay, he goes for a5 immediately, which I do not agree with. Yeah. Well, he doesn't need my agreement, but he's just overcomplicating his task. Why just not hit the rook? Maybe he wanted to put some pressure on his opponent, so like a psychological move, as his opponent has 17 minutes and he just wanted his opponent to calculate. And it kind of worked, so I don't know about my comment that I didn't like it, but it kind of worked because he made Andrzej think for 5 minutes and there was no good way to, to calculate. But then he plays king e7, and then okay, Andrzej plays instantly rook d2, and then bishop to c6 by Henry. Okay, Henry needed to play this instantly, but he took 2 minutes. So knight d4, bishop to b7. So how is the game basically after the development? White can bring out the bishop, which I believe, yes, he brings out to the most active square with some ideas of bishop c6 or knight c6. And honestly, in my mind, it's almost like a miracle that black won because it's almost dry and equal, And wow, miracle rhymes with equal, so that's good to know for the next time that I just sing or just tell you guys some life stories or some jokes. So 95 would be something that stops all of these shenanigans with knight c6 or bishop c6, but white just can finish the development with rook h e1 or d1, and black also can do so. So that's why I said it's equal. And now removing the arrows, but I wanna save them with screenshot first. I don't know why. It's just beautiful. Maybe I use it for a thumbnail later. And the thing is, so what black has a pawn over here. It's like a big pawn chain over here, and you can also count out this one over here as a pawn island. Pawn, a separate pawn island, unless you move the knight away and then play f5 to connect everything. But until then, they are like separate pawn islands, and I'm just gonna try Do I not have any other colors? Oh no. Oh, I do, but I didn't find it in time. And this is like a separate pawn island. It's like three pawn islands. White has two pawn islands, but this pawn is worth a lot. So you definitely want to keep it protected and so on. So rook h8 by Henry, and I'm just wondering why not just rook h8 and then putting the rook over here. Now the simple and the first answer is that if you put a rook on d8, everything will get traded off with something like here, 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 which might happen in the game later on. Yeah, maybe you want the rook on a8 though, when you get a position like this or something. So rook hc8, or you don't want to trade pieces at all. Knight to f4 now, after rook h1, and you have to play g3 because your pawn is attacked. And now knight g6 back. So he just went there to force a weakening, a weakness. Now, of course, I would play knight e5 if I were him, but maybe there's something like f4 or f3 or something. But anyway, maybe he wants to play 95 now, Henry. And he's down to 1 minute, and that's the bad thing after spending so much time in the opening. So knight a4 by white, 4 minutes, and now rook a b8 by black with 1 minute. Now I'm getting sleepy a little bit, as it's a little bit boring and it's a little bit overwhelming. Knight to e5 now by Henry, and pawn to b3, just supporting the knight. Okay, and my second timer is out, so definitely now I need to hurry more, and at least now I get a sense of urgency. Means that I've recorded for over 30 minutes, I think. Rook d8 by black, rook ed1 by white, and knight d5. Okay, making this move with 7 seconds, and even you have to wait or survive 11 more moves to reach time control. Both players are in critical time trouble, so we'll go a little bit. c4, knight b4, just to kind of experience what they are doing. We'll move a little bit faster. Knight c5, bishop to 8. This is like they play the game at this pace, knight a6, because they were down on time. It says here 0-0 is just an error by the computer. Knight takes, bishop takes, 1 minute by Andrej and 41 seconds by Tudor, and or Henry. Okay, I'm sorry. Knight d3, but okay, it's the same name anyway. So now it's like black has an advantage, but nothing is clear yet. It's move 33, 7 more moves to reach time control. Knight c2 just to make a move, and a tactical blow with knight takes f2 in time trouble. And white definitely didn't. I don't know what to do other than that. Maybe you can play knight b5. I think you can still go for this knight to f2. I guess it was just missed, but the knight was just in trouble anyway, so there was no way to save the pawn. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, and king takes. And everything is traded off and is moved 36. You still need to survive 4 more moves. This was played with 4 seconds by Andrzej, and I don't know him, of course, but I'm just saying. Knight d3 check, king d2, knight to b4, offering a trade of knights, but also eyeing the pawn and eyeing the bishop. And you have to take. Knight takes b4, a takes b4, and now this pawn is on a dark square, these pawns are on a light square, and yeah, you just not that arrow, but king c7, king d6, king c5 is the plan. And the pawn on b4 cannot be attacked unless you are in time with the king. And you are not after the move of e5. Just restricting the white king. g4, and they reach time control finally. 30 minutes for Henry and 25 minutes for Andrzej. And black is up a pawn, right? 4, 5. No, 4, 5, 6. 6 for black and 5 for white. Okay, so let's see. And then f5, and then he just resigned, Andrzej. And okay, no play, huh? Because he had respect for the kid, I guess, or something. But yeah, for sure, you can still go about it. You can either block the position or just try to trade and make a draw. And of course, if you're black, you can give a check here or after you take. It's the same thing. It doesn't really matter. And yeah, you have to take or push the pawn, but you don't want to keep too many pawns on a light square, so you might just take and then just bring the king, and you try to do this, but I think king d7 is more accurate, as you have king e6 and king f5 in mind. And if he tries to stop it, let's say first king f2, you don't play this because then bishop c8 check, but I figured you can play bishop to c6, and then he just goes like this, And if he tries to stop it with something like a check over here, you just play bishop d7, and you are more than happy, I think, to trade and go into a kings and pawn ending, as you are easily winning this. And like, yeah, it's just mate in 16 if I open up the engine. The point is, it's like he stays still, I'm just gonna go here. He stays still, I'm just gonna go here. The minute he goes with the pawn push, I don't take, because then I will be out of the square, and then white is winning, right? So I have to go back at this minute, but there's no way to support the pawn. Even if you try to play something like this, I just take here, here. You do support it, but my pawn on before was just keeping in check all the pawns over here. So that was just basically it. Like, this pawn is just keeping two pawns at bay. If this pawn was not on c4 or on c2, it would keep three pawns at bay. All right, so we saw the first game. It's minute 26 of my recording, so things are not going too smoothly, but we're gonna grab on it and we're gonna compensate and we're just gonna move faster and for real this time. So, pawn to d4, second game. Henry plays it. How many moves? 60 moves. Let's go. Pawn to d5 by his opponent, FIDE Master from Greece. And Henry won this game. Let's see. This is his patent's move, Henry, when he plays one d4. And yeah, it's just that he likes it so much. And sorry about this, I'm just gonna stop for a little bit. Alright guys, I'm back. I know I stopped the recording because I had some stuff to take care of, and I need to hurry for real now because in 25 minutes I need to leave the house immediately to go to training for Muay Thai, or you can say the gym. It doesn't really matter. It's just physical training. So anyway, so I have 25 minutes to show like 10 games. All right, that's good. 2.5 minutes for each game. So knight c3 by Henry, and then knight f6 by his opponent. It's just the queen's gambit, the exchange variation, e takes d5. So it seems that Henry has learned and has mastered the line with bishop to g5 at this, which Magnus has played so many times and so many grandmasters, and just go for like you control the game with white, you like it. And Magnus has played it from the black side also in critical games, and he has won number of games with black from here. Anyway, but his opponent goes for bishop to f5, a kind of a sharp variation. Queen f3, like, okay, you go for the end game, and boo, it's an end game because bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, queen takes f6, and g takes f6 is like automatic. And black gets a double pawn structure and an isolated h pawn. But okay, he has a very solid center, and white, all right, it's like white doesn't have too much because he has the knight's pair against the bishop pair, but let's see how Henry does, how he takes advantage of this position. Believe they played, Anish Giri had a game against somebody at the candidates match, and he was squeezing it for long, maybe against Matthias Bluebaum. In the end, he didn't get anything. I forgot who it was against, but it just ended up in a draw. So I guess a lot of games end in a draw here. So bishop to b4, rook to c1 by Henry. And Henry still has 41 minutes, struggling maybe with some confidence stuff. 1 hour and 22 minutes for Zisis. It's like he blitzed out the opening. And it's very, very simple. Like, it's just very straightforward. Bishop takes c3, rook takes c3, but Henry is just trying to be accurate. But all right, like, that's just the excuse that I give him. But maybe he's calculating a lot. Maybe he wasn't too very well prepared. Because if you are, you don't spend as much time. He almost has spent an hour. And yeah, it's not so good. So knight a4, and now rook to c1. Just giving up the pawn on b2. But I guess it's if you take it, and he did, his opponent did take it. But okay, we will see that. But let's cover first. If rook b3, there was the other option to like save the pawn and just put pressure over here. I guess the rook is trapped after b5. It's like these squares are off limit. It's very hard to get the rook back into the game, I guess. But maybe you play something like king d2 because it's or like an end game and you don't really need to castle anymore. And Yeah, well, the only problem is that knight b6, knight c4 is quite strong, but if I play like other moves, let's say here, here, and here, not to change the character of the position, even if white gets something like this, the rook is just misplaced, and I guess Henry didn't want to go into this line, this variation, so he played rook c1, and then now knight takes b2, knight takes g6, this is the way to recover your pawn, h takes g6, and rook to b1, just hitting the knight and the pawn behind it, and there's really no way to defend b7, so you just capture it. But then you have some problem and some development issues with white, so you really need to hurry up. But castles by black, and then rook to b4. I guess this was his whole point by Henry, just hitting the rook, and the rook goes to a protected square before any rook b8 comes. So knight c3, just a tempo move, and now bishop to d3, controlling the knight and just preparing rook d2. And by this way, it just occurs that Henry has managed to kind of keep black from occupying fully the b file and just trading everything and stuff like that. So rook fb8, nevertheless, after some time, like 9 minutes, think king d2, hitting the knight, and knight goes to b5. But in so doing, you get rook hb1, which Henry plays, and it's very, very unpleasant in my mind. Maybe you have to put the rook up, which he does. Rook b6, you have to defend the rook, but can you not just play a4 here and be better? But okay, or bishop takes b5, even better. Bishop takes b5, c takes b5, and rook takes b5. So Henry just got a pawn, and he is up a pawn. Okay, another timer ran out. It's 7 p.m. sharp for me. So okay, 10:00. Okay, so rook b5 and hold on. I need to take one more break because I need to send out a message. Okay, guys, I'm back. I got the timer back and the camera back rolling. Action on. So yeah, maybe it's not the greatest time to record the video because yeah, it's just busy and I have to go to training. Anyway, rook takes b5, rook a6, rook a1, and rook d8 by black. It's move 25, still a lot of more moves to reach time control. So, let's see next. Pawn to a4 by Henry, pushing for a5 and trying to trap the rook, or like getting rid of this weakness. If you get to a5, maybe you can then play rook c1 and rook c to c5. It's a nice idea. f5 and pawn to a5. He basically copies exactly what I said. He's guessing my moves. Oh my god, if he's playing rook c5, then I'm brilliant. After this, okay, so he won a pawn. Black sacrificed the pawn just for some activity, some counterplay, pawn to g5, and this is interesting now. This is getting very, very sharp. If you take here, rook takes f2, rook takes h2, some chances happen, but so I guess you just allow the take on f4. Rook cc5. Yes, I am brilliant. There you go, guys. This is what we need. We need the energy. If Alien was here, he would have said, "Brilliant, brilliant. Let's go!" Beating up his chest, ripping up the shirt, the hoodie, screaming. This is what we need for YouTube, by the way, for views. So anyway, so basically Henry says, okay, if you play g takes f4, I might consider just closing the position with g4, which doesn't happen yet. So f3, just preparing for that. f3, look at this. f3 and g4 next. But a6 first, kicking the rook. And Henry again with 1 minute and 30 seconds. Come on, buddy. If there's one advice, I'm not in a position to give advice, but if there's something that I have to say, move better, move faster, buddy. Move faster, Henry. Just be more confident, all right? Just move faster. Don't get to 1 minute. Get to 10 minutes. You have 90 minutes. You have 1 hour and 30 minutes since the beginning, since the start. Just move a little bit faster, buddy. Rook b2 and rook h8, and then king e3, and we have g takes f4, check. Just releasing the tension, g takes f4, making some double pawns, and now just rook e8 check should be the move, and rook takes f4. Okay, king goes to f2, so it protects everything. So rook h5. So there's no rook takes f4 because if you had played this, then rook takes d5 defends everything, and I win my pawn again. And just white is up, I guess, 2 pawns. Rook b6 is coming, and yeah, just need to survive the time trouble, get the time control, and that's it. So rook h5, black is trying as hard as possible to create some magic, hitting the pawn on h2, but I guess king g3 here just defends everything. Rook g8, preparing a discovered check, but there's no good discovered check. But Henry got to 2 seconds here. Oh my god, guys! He got to 2 seconds. I have to put this in my title of the video. He got to 2 seconds on all of the moves. Ah, no! King f2 now. The rook b8. It's really squeezing that pressure for Henry. And this guy, This is FIDE Master, just before the time control, just one more move for the time control. You need to play that critical move, but I guess you have to repeat. You can repeat with king g3, but he doesn't repeat. He just gives a check. Very professional way of doing. With 3 seconds on the clock, just give a check. Professional way of playing. Let's see if he threw away the win. No, he did not throw away the win. He is still on +3. And the next couple of moves, king e7, and he just took the pawn. So after the time control has been reached, he had time, 5 minutes. He calculated everything, and he saw that the rook a2 check is like rook b2, sorry, is meaningless. But rook h3, this is still tries to put pressure on his opponent, young opponent, with some rook a2 check, and then pressure over here on this pawn, trying to connect the rooks. But rook b6, and maybe rook b2 or rook b1. Rook b1 is also nice because if you give a check here, I guess king g1, rook b1 is the professional way of doing it. I would have put my rook on b2 faster because Henry used 9 minutes for this thing. Anyway, rook c3. There's still some pressure over here, I guess. It's not all said and done. But just rook a1, push the pawn. When they capture, just put the king on g1, just put the rook again here. How do you stop the pawn? It's over. King g1, rook c7, a6, forcing rook a7 first. And now my rook on g2 is free, maybe rook g4 or rook f2. But rook b2, finally, nice. Even better, coming up with rook b7 check, hitting the rook and just removing the blockader. Black is completely lost. Rook b6 now, a little bit of a shy move, losing some confidence. I guess rook b7 would also work, but maybe not. Then again, because takes, you can play something like rook b3 or king c7, maybe even better, king c7, I guess, and it's almost nothing. I mean, you lose a lot of your advantages, white, so you don't want to do that. So rook b6, overprotecting a6 and preparing to move the other rook, I guess. Here, maybe give a check and then take with the pawn and push it to promotion. Rook takes f4, black gets some pawns, but rook f1. I guess this is another brilliant idea, as if you get rid of all the rooks, and if you don't capture, then this is hanging, which happened in the game. But okay, it's 7:08. I really need to go. Yes, I need to finish this game and really need to go. But what I wanted to say, if you had traded, then the h pawn is a passer, and along with the a pawn, if you just hit this and if you defend it, I won't really care. The rook stays on the 6th rank. Your rook is a blockader, but if you try to switch the formation somehow, I mean, you don't have to play king a7. You can play rook e4 to try to hold the game. But what I wanted to say is just I will push the h pawn. I have my a pawn over there. I'm just winning with white, whatever happens. But so then rook g4 is the check, trying to keep the pieces on the board. King c8, and now you can play a lot of moves with white. But again, 7 minutes to 5 minutes. Henry goes for a check. Rook c8, rook c1 and then rook b8 check. Again, king d7. You can play rook b7 now, and it's all over. Rook b7, you can resign. The pawn cannot be stopped. Actually, it can be stopped with rook g8, but first captures, and rook g8, the only defense to stop the queening. But now I can play something like rook b1, and it's all over. I pacify your rook b8, and now I bring my king in, king g2, king c7, king f3, rook h8, trying to switch the blockading. I can play b8 and then win the game, which is what happened in the game. He played it quite fast. Takes, and then h4, and black resigned, as you cannot cover the pawn in time. Like the square is like this, the king is out of the cage. You cannot. If you play like this, I'm just gonna put h4, and the square is smaller. For those of you who are maybe beginners and enjoying the show, you can watch me perform it, right? You're just missing a move, basically. If black is to move, you just need one more move to get to the square of the pawn. But this was the second game, second round, a nice victory for for Henry. But now, so considering it's 7 and 10 p.m., I really need to go with. I'm just gonna cover a few games up until like 7:20, 7:25. This we have another game. We have featured Yakli Sokolski once again on the channel playing against another guy. I forgot. Was it against Samuel or against the other guy? What was his name? Felix Ilinka. Was it against him or was it against Samuel? You guys drop a comment down below because I forgot. 'Cause I was very tired that time and I covered a lot of game. So anyway, Henry again with the white pieces goes e4. Wow, just a surprise against his very well established grandmaster. Well, Henry plays d4, so he just started with e4. That's insane. But he's a kid, so it's well known. It's like expected that he can serve, but it's not actually expected. You can if you can serve with both hands, it's a major thing. It's something that I do myself included, and I really enjoy it. I really like it, and I really like it from Henry as well. So we have just knight c3 now, knight f6, and it's just a four knights game. And then pawn to d4, switching to the Scotch variation. Let's see if Henry brings anything to the table. Knight takes d4. Well, I guess at the very least he wants to control the game, but now his opponent goes for knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and queen e7, immediately sacrificing the knight for a pawn and trying to get it back. But bishop to d3, just defending the knight. I'm not so sure about this theory move. How is the theory over here? Bishop to d3 is the second move, but it's like the same evaluation. Then you take the knight and so on and so forth. Of course, you can also play f3 d5 if like this is the main or another interesting move to cover. If I cover some theory on this, it's the moment right now. Bishop b5, bishop d7. I mean, it's not the moment right now because I need to go. And now, okay, I need to silence my phone first. Shut up. I don't need it to ring. Castles, but maybe also bishop takes c6. The engine is suggesting they're like the same evaluation. But okay, castles just keeps more tension. D takes e4. Bishop takes c6 you have to play sooner or later. B takes c6. Oh, I was just thinking if white captured. No, no, if white lost a piece, but white did not lose the piece. So f takes c4. I mean, he lost the knight back on e4. But okay, now c5. So this is like the theory, the main engine suggestions. Queen d6, and I cannot see the games like on Explore, the games played by the grandmasters or anything like that because I'm on chess.com and I don't have the subscription. But on Lichess, definitely I can do that. Bishop to 7. I used to have the subscription as a gift, a gold membership, but I didn't even use it. You know, I was just out in America working my ass off, working, work and travel. You know, it was this program for students. Anyway, so bishop to e3, bishop to e6. This is basically how the game can develop. You guys might be interested in some theory of this line. Wow, 95 even. What if queen b2, you immediately lose to knight c6? Wow, okay. I mean, it's +2. It's not like you lose, but you get just a very strong advantage. So black needs to castle and don't mind the poison pawn and the. But yeah, then b3 and stuff, and we have this position. But this is like analysis. If you guys want to study this whole knight takes e4, this whole from black knight takes e4 in the Scotch, you just can see my here with f3. You can see my analysis, and it's all good. But then we're gonna see the game with bishop to d3. This is the second line that you can play here in the game from Henry. Bishop d3, knight takes d4, castles, pawn to d5, and knight to c3, pawn to c6. By the way, I didn't say anything about that line, that first line here at the end of the line of the variation, as I thought you guys can assume and you can see directly by yourselves. Like black has a pawn structure, a damaged pawn structure. Black has the bishop pair, and it says he said almost equals 0-0. Maybe white can improve on this variation with some moves earlier, but definitely white has some ideas of a battery, putting pressure on c5. It looks very equal, like f6 can come kicking the knight away. The knight is very active, can go to c4 back. And it's just an interesting position with full of possibilities. There's an isolated pawn on e4. Black has a couple of pawn islands, like one, two. I mean, some isolated pawns too. 1, 2, 3 pawn islands. Three with also four has all of those 3 pawns, and also this group there are all pawn islands, 4 pawn islands, and white has 3 pawn islands, so that's why it's equal. Because if black's pawn structure would be like this pawn over here, I think that black would have the advantage, or Even here, if the pawn was even here, black would have a good, consistent edge. To put it this way, as the bishop pair is the bishop pair, and yeah, has good control of the game. Maybe a5, a4 are some plans or some ideas. G4, g5 for white, h4, h5. I'm just saying, rook f3, rook g3. I'm just saying, guys, just giving you some ideas, some plans. You can play this position in a multiple way, or you can play knight d7 if they allow you instead of b3. That forces bishop takes d7, rook takes d7, and going to that line as well. Swap one of the bishops, but that's about that line. And now let's return to the game after that c6 and the rookie one. Now knight to e6 as it's 7:15, so I don't have much time, and I'm pondering upon the decision if I should leave the video, leave the camera, leave the app on and record more later when I come back from training, or just do like two parts. And how much more am I gonna record? Or finish the video, just show them instantly, like right now. But the quality of the video is gonna drop. I'm just not gonna explain anything or everything. This effort, like the past few moves, I didn't even explain. Just making a solid pawn structure like this, and Henry has the initiative. F4 and F5 was the threat. He still goes for F5, forcing G takes F5, and so Yahli is just has his pawn structure ruined. I like how Henry played. He has sacrificed the pawn in the meantime by doing this, but he has opened up the game to all kinds of possibilities. Queen h5 or bishop to f4 as taking advantage of the pin, so to speak. Queen to d3 after queen f6, bishop to d6. So okay, he decided on queen d3, which is interesting, and then bishop to d6 developing. And yeah, if you are white, you kind of need to bring the dark square bishop into the game. So bishop to e3, now threatening bishop to d4, but I mean black needs to do something here. Rook g8. I mean, you can still play bishop d4 here, I think, but rook g8 just gave up a pawn, and Henry really considered the move and the position as he gets to 6 minutes after bishop takes h7, and so rook g7 by Yahli. Okay, all the details I'm not gonna present because we don't have time for that, and of course we didn't see the game live, so there will always be behind the scenes things that I will never know because I was not there. I wasn't how to say, a witness. Bishop to d4, finally. This was Henry's idea. He thought that he was winning the exchange, and then bishop takes h2 check. This game lasts for 61 moves. I was thinking that here there was a perpetual as the sacrifice happened, as you get queen h4, but I guess you just lose a piece, as this is why Yahli allowed it. You can play rook takes h7. So this was like a miss from Henry. I was just wondering, isn't he losing now? Maybe bishop to e5. Is it a miss or is it not? That we'll never know. I think it definitely is a miss because black is just looking very great +1. But to draw a grandmaster from this position is just major things at as Henry as an international master at the age of like 14 or whatever. I don't really know his exact age, but yeah, bishop takes h2 is a brilliant move, and yeah, bishop takes h7, and yeah, it's like black was already better. Maybe king h1 was another suggestion, but okay, we're not gonna mend to that. So I was just wondering, the evaluation it was already a plus advantage for white, so definitely a grandmaster is a grandmaster with all of his theory. He tricked Henry in the opening and he got a better position. But that's what happens when you don't know e4 and you play e4 on move one. But I guess it's a good experiment. He got a draw. Let's see how he get a draw. The grandmaster just plays bishop d7 and just prepares to castle. Queen h5 first, just putting the queen on a light square, and yeah, I guess just wants to not allow queen f5 or anything like that, or just control the game better, but this wastes a move, and I believe that. I mean, if you guys are wondering why not just queen h1, just king f2, and nothing major is happening after something like queen h4, I can just draw back with the bishop g3, and you cannot trade the queens, by the way, because I can just take, and the knight is pinned, and if you give a check, another check, I can offer a queen exchange, and all of your attack is gone. Black is still up a pawn, but nothing major or troublesome for white. So queen h5 in the end, rook e3 now for white, putting really a lot of pressure on the clock. for Henry. You only move 22 and he's down to seconds. The long castle by Yahli. Rook to h3 with 1 minute and 24 seconds now from Henry, as the Grandmaster has allowed it. Personally, now here, really Yahli needed to play here. Personally, that's what I would say. And after king f2, queen h4, I mean, psychologically, it's very unpleasant. I think it would have given him. I mean, it's seconds, and you just make it very very troublesome. Even okay, queen f6, rook f3, but after bishop g3, first of all, you get rid of the bishop on e5 on the in the center, and first of all, I'm not, and second of all, I'm not. I don't need to play queen f6. I can play queen h6, for instance. And what to do? It's like you have 55 seconds with white, and you're just saying, okay, what the hell am I doing? You know, okay, you're a kid, you're 14, but you know, kids can swear even at that age. So, like, it's very, very hard with that time, considering that Yahli had 10 minutes. This is how you have to play when you're a favorite. You have to have an edge, either of 10 minutes, even of 5 minutes. You just need to have an edge if you're a favorite in any game. Queen takes e5 now. Wow, after a 5 minute thing, just giving up the rook on h7, and Henry takes it, says thank you very much for the rook, and now rook takes f7. With 2 seconds, he played that move. Knight to f4 by Yahli, and rook takes f4 by Henry. So okay, I think I decided a little bit. I'm just gonna cover this game, the third round, then I'll see what happens. I think I'll put pause, and yeah, not sure if I should do more parts. I can try that, but it's gonna be a little bit weird. Anyway, Henry just has given back the exchange, but he has equal pawns, but it's very hard to play still. You are in time trouble, for that's the main thing. And the second thing, black's pawns are better, and bishop to h3. If the queen moves, something like queen d2 is coming for black, and also pressure on b2. So it's annoying. It's very very annoying. Okay, this is the last timer, and that's the last timer that drank. Okay, so queen c5 check after b3, rook to f2, and rook to e8. A lot of pressure on the boy, on the kid. But now times are almost equal. But Yakli has considered the position for a lot, for a lot of times. But let's see, queen d2 by Henry. It's amazing that he did hold his ground against the grandmaster in this game. Bishop to g4, pawn to a4. So pawn to a6 by Ahli. He played with 4 seconds. Henry played that last move with 1 second. Queen to f4 now with 8 seconds, hitting the bishop, giving up the knight just for a trade. You cannot give the bishop, cannot give the trade, as that will just lead to a dry position and perhaps a draw. Queen to 2 trying to repeat. Rook f8. Yep, now just attacking, increasing the pressure on the pinned piece. Knight d1 and rook g8. Doesn't want to release his card yet. 45 seconds, but now Henry is gaining time. Queen a3, d4, and like a panicky move. He should have played d4 on the previous move. Queen f4, rook h8. Yeah, this is what you want to avoid when you're stronger, when you're a grandmaster playing against an IM. But Henry is so strong, like he could be a grandmaster very, very soon. In a couple of years, maybe even sooner than a couple of years, maybe in 1 year or something. It depends how hard he trains and how many tournaments he plays, how he performs in those tournaments, most and foremost. But yeah, to hold his ground. But if you're a grandmaster, if you're like 2559 against 2457, 100 points, 102 points more, you don't want to get into 52 seconds against 42 seconds, not in a million years. Rook f1. Okay, if you're also Henry, you don't want to get with so few seconds on the clock. But okay, queen h5, knight c4. Okay, we have 20 more moves. Queen h4. Finally, a queen exchange. This was very nervous, and finally the time control has been reached. No more seconds on the clock. Rook d8, king d8, a5. Finally, Henry can play his positional game, and he can waste time again. 5 minutes. Damn, this boy is amazing. He just got to like 30 minutes, then to 25, and now to 5 minutes again, and now to 2 minutes again. But rook e4 hitting the pawn, c5 was like forced or invited, and Yahli again going for 6 minutes. Damn, these guys they don't learn their lesson. Huh. This is amazing. This is absolutely fabulous. Rook to e5, offering a rook exchange. It's like you cannot really avoid it. So, okay, now Henry changes his mind. He played those moves faster, though. Rook to e7, king d8, and he could have repeated if he wanted to, but now he's getting a little bit ambitious. And why wouldn't you? You're a kid, you have nothing to lose. Knight b6, trying to attack the bishop, and put pressure. You have a rook on a 7th rank. What could you ask more for this? Okay, now maybe knight d6, or trying to reroute the knight to attack the bishop. That would be the dream. So knight d6, knight c4. Now, okay, you could maybe play knight to e4, or knight f7, knight e5. I mean, you cannot play 95 yet, but it's a possibility if you can get to it. Knight c4, pawn to d3. But actually, he's had enough. He breaks through and he tries to win a pawn. King f4, and he does win a pawn. King e5, but he allows king activity, and the white king, along with the knight, penetrate into the black position. Rook e3 check, king f6, rook to b3, and white has so much activity. As for a draw, king e6, threatening mate, or some checks, and yeah, this like if you play something like b6, for instance, and check, and if you go here, I believe this is checkmate. This is indeed checkmate. Look at this. Such a beautiful. You guys made, and you guys drop down a comment below. How is this called? How is this called? I don't know it. How is this called? I will ask ChatGPT. I will get the answer, and I might reveal it in a comment down below next time. All right? I'm just gonna make a picture. How, and you guys tell me, and I will tell you if you are right. Okay? How is this called? And it's like guessing. Okay, I cannot send any more pictures. Okay, fuck that. We're gonna use another AI. Okay, Gemini. Gemini. Come on, give it to me. No, I need to. I've copied, pasted something else. Okay, gallery. This. How is this called? The mate. All right, I'm not gonna show you guys the answer. You guys try that. Show that in the chat, in the comment down below, and I'll tell you if you were right or not. So, okay, this did not happen in the game. Of course, king e6, rook e3 check, king f6, rook e2, pawn to g4, pushing forward. And okay, Henry has enough counterplay for a draw. Not much, and the grandmaster will settle for it for a repetition, as there's okay with 40 seconds, basically with 10 seconds. With 10 seconds, he played rook e2, just admitting a draw. And if we open up the analysis over here, the engine, it just says, yep, that he was right to go for the draw, and it was all equal going into this. D3 just sorts everything out, and yeah, nobody could win this game. But okay, if like if we were watching, it definitely was like here with the open engine and the open bar, definitely black had a lot of chances, and definitely he missed the win. But Henry did definitely play well, kept his ground, kept the chin up, the shoulders up, and yeah, kept the balance, the equality, or the motives. He kept fighting. He kept the chest up, and he kept fighting. I know, I've seen him in person, and he used to have this habit after a long game, or during a long game, after so many long moves, played the game in the national championships for like 100 moves, and he got up from the board like this, and he started walking around, just stretching, just doing his thing. He started doing something like this, which was nice. There was nobody watching, there was nobody in the hall, everybody finished their games, and it was kind of nice, it was kind of cool. But yeah, it's just something that I've admired, because this kid didn't have any inhibitions, and I just enjoyed watching him play. I was the only one in the spectators room, just looking at the game. But of course, the game was diffused or transmitted live, and not a problem of that sort. And okay, I really need to go because I've stayed overboard. And okay, first of all, I put pause to the video, and then I will see it tonight if I finish it like this and put a part 1. But if I do finish it like this, you guys will know, because I'll unpause this recording and I'll do an outro. Either way, you guys will know. So thank you guys for first watching the 3 games, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Thank you. And also thank you for being part of Mr. Fighter Chess community and just subscribing to my channel. Thank you a lot. Bye. See you later, and see you when I unpause. Hello everyone, I'm back, and I've decided, I think, to record the next games. It's been 59 minutes and 30 seconds. Oh, anyway, make the image smaller and let's do it. But I'm freaking pissed. I'm very mad, upset. So yeah, I have my timer. It's already on from 30 seconds. Sorry about this. Not this. This is, I don't care about the challenge for 1 minute. I'm very pissed. And earlier I remembered about it. Now I remembered again. And earlier I said I'm not gonna talk about it, but now I'm gonna talk about it. I had a chess class with one of my students, and he's a kid, but he's not such a young boy. He's like 11 years old. And I had a session 1-on-1 today, and he started crying at some point. Crying, just crying once, and then afterwards, after like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, again crying. Online chess classes. And I asked him why, and he's not speaking, he's not saying why. Why are you crying? He's like, he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't talk. He just doesn't talk. He just doesn't talk. I asked him, what are you doing? How are you doing? He said, fine. And I asked, and he's not saying anything. But he's eating. He could say, I'm eating. I'm just pissed off. I'm just pissed off at the attitude, at the expectations. I'm supposed to deliver everything. You're not supposed to work hard and ask me questions and communicate. I ask you, how is the position? And he said, he's like, good. And I'm asking, what's your plan? To move the rook here. And that's it. They are just not speaking. They are not talking. I keep asking questions and they are just, and he's saying, I don't know. 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 What am I supposed to do? What can I do? What can I say? Anyway, regardless, let's move on. Henry Edward Tudor. I'm just so mad that I'm just gonna cover the rest of the games very fast. So this is the fourth round. Henry Edward Tudor against Paulisius Pultinevicius from Lithuania. It's a draw. How many moves? I freaking don't know. 33 moves. We're gonna go about it. So d4, knight f6, c4, e6. This is the Nimzo Indian. Or knight f3, now pawn to d5, the queen's gambit. Knight c3, 3 knights variation, and bishop b4 going into the Ragozin. If you don't know the opening, study the opening, just like that. C takes d5, e takes d5, and bishop g5, the exchanged Ragozin. Okay. L6, bishop h4, castles, pawn to e3. A very standard position. White just develops his pieces, black too, aiming at c5 or c6, depending what's going on. Bishop to f5, knight b7. That's it. Queen goes to a5 in some lines. That's it. Here, knight b7, queen b3, queen e7, just defending the bishop. Castles by white, pawn to c6. Finally, Henry knew and came prepared with theory for this game, playing faster. 1 hour and 2 minutes after 11 moves, but still wasting time. 1 hour and 28 minutes from Paulius from Lithuania. A3, hitting the bishop. Bishop takes, as he didn't want to go back because it already came here, so he didn't want to waste the tempo. And plus, after b takes c3, because if queen takes c3, then the queen is a little bit unstable over here. On the b file, it already hits the pawn. And when I say unstable, what I mean g5, bishop g3, and knight e4 is a possibility for black. And other than that, the queen is just not doing anything here. So therefore, he captures with the pawn, also to try to open up the b file. But for the moment, the bishop is controlling, not there, but here, and no rook can come. But c4 is on the menu. So b5, he stops. Henry stops c4, a4, questioning black's pawn structure, and pawn to a6 after a 2-minute thing, just solidifying everything. Rook a3, preparing to double up, nothing much going on, just some ideas to take over the a file and then prepare a strong capture on b5. Knight to b6, just to prevent that, putting pressure on a4, asking you to decide with the a pawn. If you push it, I might go here or go back, but at the very least you don't open up the a file. But Paulius did decide to go for it. So a b5, and rook f a1. just to double up and control and offer some exchanges and just control at the end of the line the a file. Pawn to g5, very natural, just attacking the bishop, releasing the center, weakening some king position, but I wanted to say king side, but at the same time you gain more space, you get rid of a piece over here, you get 94, you just enjoy life, in my opinion. I mean, it's something that I would play myself too. 94, rook takes a8, rook takes a8, and rook takes a8, knight takes a8. It was expected, as when the a file is opened up, massive exchanges will happen, and maybe at the end, maybe a queen to the a file will happen. But first 95, attacking the pawn on c6, so it needs cover, so queen b7, defending the pawn and also the knight, and prior to any queen occurring on the a file hitting the knight. So f3 now by Paulius, hitting the knight e4, knight takes g3, just exchanging, h takes g3, and pawn to f6, just attacking the knight on e5 because it was a menace, and just removing the most active piece. But now knight d3. Another possibility would be bishop d3. This will be very, very interesting. I'm wondering if he spent any time on it. He did. Turns out because 8 minutes it took him to decide on knight d3. But if bishop d3, uh, yeah, I'm just eating right now a croissant, but I'm just still showing the moves. This could happen. Another thing that could happen is f takes e5, bishop takes e5, and I think that, honestly, in my opinion, white is winning strategically. First timer finished. Second timer is on. Why is white winning strategically? Bishop against the knight. King is weak, the black king. An open bishop, open board. e4 can come, g4 can come. The bishop is very stable over here. It will take a long route for the knight to kick it. And in the meantime, before you prepare knight d6 or something like that, knight g7, I will just, with white will activate the queen and just be better. So this would have been a very interesting possibility. Other than that, you can move the bishop away, and but then there appears possibilities of knight g6 or something like that, and it's very unpleasant. So bishop d3, definitely, in my opinion, the right way to go instead of knight d3. But just going back, Paulius keeps, and now bishop takes d3, bishop takes d3, and queen e7. And the difference is now is that black got more time, more development, an attack over here, and he just needs to get a lot of tempi before the white queen can activate on the game in the game. But pawn to e4 is strong, knight b6 defending and covering everything. King h2. This took him a very long time to play, as perhaps and most certainly he was calculating this line. Maybe some queen in one check is very annoying, but knight d5 first, I guess. But in my mind, I think something like queen in one. So say I think this line is probably what he thought for. Maybe you have queen e3 followed by queen c3. I can also go queen e1, say queen e1, king h2, and queen takes c3. But maybe there are also possibilities of checkmate. But okay, the knight is pinned, so no such luck. If you take here, takes is a better endgame for white. But maybe black has other possibilities too. So that's why king h2 he just wanted to keep the pressure. But also black unpins, so it solves a lot of problems. That's what Henry does. Knight takes d5, and now c4. He doesn't go for bishop takes b5. Why not? Is it a miss? Let's ask the engine. Analysis. Just queen b7. A pin. Trade the queens afterwards, and then just win c3. If, for example, bishop, I mean, you're worse actually here. Black is better, much better, because this is on a dark square. I'm gonna attack it. I'm gonna win it, and when I win it, like 92, I'm also gonna defend this guy over here. So say, I don't know, g4, 92. If d5, I think c5. Bring my king over, and I'm better with the black pieces. And if you do not do this, if play bishop to a4, then knight takes d4, and you can never capture here because the knight protects it, and black is just much better. But obviously, of course, pawn to c4 is the better possibility for white here. And I'm not so sure how 0-0 is dealt with. I think black is just down a pawn in the endgame, but then he has a lot of compensation with the knight, and say here, 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 black is down a pawn, but just king f7 approaching the pawn. And if you try d6 check, just king e8, you're gonna lose the pawn, and that's about it. If you don't try this, if you play something like g4, knight d4, hitting the bishop, for instance, bishop c4, king e7, king e6, blockade it, capture it, draw the game, life is good, and that's it. That's what something like that, a draw also happened in the game by Henry. Coming back, Paulius decided on pawn to c4, but the times are around even. So again, a grandmaster not taking full stock of the position and thinking for too long, permitting too many things for the young boy Henry, who's an international master at the age of 14, but because the grandmasters permit them too many things, they try to be the most accurate, but in so doing, they throw away any winning attempts, any winning chances. And here, after bishop to e4, white proposed the draw, black accepted it, and it's time to go home because after bishop to e4, there's nothing much going on other than that. Just bishop knight e6, bishop takes e6, and knight takes e5. Pawns are on the same side, and that's about it. This game took me to show around 12 minutes, so we're moving on to the next game. I've a little bit cooled off, I've calmed down a little bit. Now, Henry plays against Gleb Dudin. Gleb Dudin also played against, Felix Antonio. I've showed that game, and he was in a good form, good spirit as he defeated both of them, both Henry and Felix. And he ended up with an 8 out of 11, a whopping score, and it's a nice thing. So again, the second timer disappeared. Now I added one more minute, and it's 6 minutes. So the game begins with pawn to e4. Again, Henry feels confident with pawn to e4, and we have the French defense, and none other than the Tarrasch variation with knight to d2. The positional line, very practical, but Henry lost this game, so let's see what happens. Myself, I play only the knight c3. That's it. Bottom line. So, c5, knight gf3, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight to e7, just preparing some stuff like knight bc6, and when you capture, I'm just gonna capture back with the knight, have a good knight on c6, but also when you take on d5, it turns out that knight captures is good because a strong knight is in the center. So bishop c4 just to develop the bishop. It's not like I want to take the knight or anything, but maybe in the future I just build up my initiative along these lines, and kind of paralyzing your queen. So say your queen moves like first, let's say bishop to e7, castles, and your queen goes for something like queen b6. Maybe in the future I am considering capturing, say, knight b3 and you castle. Say I'm considering capturing and playing a position or a pawn structure like this. That's the merit of bishop c4, because I'm kind of paralyzing your queen, and when I'm not paralyzing your queen, okay, this guy did not get the x, so I'm gonna do that. So when you're moving the queen away, I can consider capturing. And the point is that I'm playing that pawn structure against an isolated pawn. And that's the whole line. That's the bottom line of this variation. White's strategy is just to play against either an IQP, or black can play against an IQP. If you don't know the definition, ask me down below. Pawn to c3, here bishop to c5, and it turns out that you just Henry, that's white, isn't minding at all bishop takes c4, but now he is a little bit, so he keeps the bishop. And the reason before that was just that knight comes to c4, and you have two strong knights. You don't really care about the black bishops. You're just gonna develop next, have a nice game. Afterwards, I mean, if you weren't a kid, you could drink a beer with your buddies and enjoy the show, but that's the bottom line. That's about it. So bishop c5, bishop b5 check, bishop d7, knight to e4, hitting the bishop on c5, bishop takes d4, just capturing and capturing back. The queen goes to the center, and it's very interesting that black got to win this game. Let's see how many moves. Okay, not too many. So it turns out that Henry got a punishment. I don't wish it. I don't do well, and I don't encourage, and I mean, I support Henry. Obviously, he's Romanian. I'm Romanian. Everybody's happy. Somebody loses, we all suffer. I lose, somebody suffers. Somebody else loses, we're like a team. So somebody else suffers. So when somebody else suffers, I suffer. So anyway, castles. But what I wanted to say, Henry finally got a punishment for using too much time. Again here, what is this? Bishop takes d7 from 1 hour 01 to 36 minutes. That's insane. 25 minutes usage on only one move. How can you do that? And you exchange a bishop? Are you serious? Gleb just captured back. Knight b takes d7. He also took for 3 minutes, but 3 minutes, not 30 minutes. And okay, you think about bishop d3, maybe knight c6 or something like queen e3. Well, why 25 minutes? And if you do that, why do you not play it? It might be bad. Not so bad. Plus 0, 0, plus 0, 0, 4. How is bishop takes d7? The best move. Okay, good. Great, but why not play it faster? Why so overthinking? Why so much? It's plus 0.4 plus 0.5 after this, so it's the best move. Why so slow? b3, e5, queen d2. Also b3 is like a slow move to develop the bishop and very ambitious just to kill this knight of any squares. But I mean, of course, bishop to f4 is something like natural. You have to tend to e5, takes, and I mean takes, and of course, rook e8, and maybe the knight is lost as the king is in the center. So why not just bishop to e3? Just bishop to e3 and have a nice game. But he goes for b3, pawn to e5, queen d2, going back again using a lot of time, getting to 22 minutes. And Gleb uses just a little bit, goes for f5, very ambitious. 94 is kicked back or forward. Let's see, it goes forward. But I think that black, if not equalized, is already better. Okay, I'm just wrong. It's plus 0.7 by white, but it's not so clear. It's not so easy. Queen c7, just connecting the rooks, defending b7, and bishop to a3, just overprotecting the knight, kind of discouraging knight c5, and just pinning, I mean, just threatening some discovered attacks with the knight moving from d6 and hitting the rook. So queen c6, getting out of the way of any knight b5 shenanigans, jumps, or anything. Of course, knight c5 is also a possibility, but who knows and what do I know? So anyway, queen c6 castles, rook f6, hitting the knight, rook a d1, overprotecting the best piece in the position, which is the knight. Okay, the alarm is off, so I'm gonna speed up. a6, just making a useful move, but getting to 9 minutes, so it's not good. Pawn to c4, so Henry is playing very well on the board, as he's playing around the knight. He has killed off the knight on b6. The pawn on b3, pawn on c4 are doing a major job, just connecting everything. It's like a wall over here, and some ideas of queen a5 are coming, or they are good. Next, just I would do that, and maybe rook d2, rook fd1, just overprotect the knight, and just play around the knight d6 and just play the game. But he goes for f4, which is a little bit questionable here. I really wonder about my suggestion of queen a5. And turns out I'm wrong again. He is +2 here, Henry. Queen a5 is not too bad. It's not too bad. It wasn't in the top 3, but definitely in the top 5 or top 10 choices by the computer. Position was already good. But f4, and f4 is like similar to my move, only it complicates the game a little bit more. I think queen a5, and he also the time, 3 minutes and 30 seconds used for this move. Queen a5 could have happened like instantly, and it's a clear plan, right? And the rook d2. And if you try to get rid of my knight, wow, even knight e8, but it's like the only move. Knight e8 or capture, so knight e8 and rook f7 and queen c7. But this is not too hard to see. Honestly, at an IM level, I mean, I can see this. I can for sure see this. If you capture, I capture. If rook b8, then again, you can go knight e8 and perhaps go back, if anything, but there's no danger to the knight. I mean, if the knight moves from here, it will give you the d6 square again, and again, just conquering the d file is on the cards. Also, rook f1. What? I mean, Even the end game is good. You get closer to the time control, and imagine just playing these moves with like zero time usage. Of course, a paradise in my opinion. But using 3 minutes, like almost four, for one move when you are already with 6 minutes is just a crime, right? That's my opinion at the very least. And then King H1 because look, this is a mistake. A mistake will happen sooner or later because he did a fast move here when he could have done a fast move, a quicker move earlier. But after F4, the character of the position changed. Look at this. This is a change in the character of the position. But by Queen A5 or any other move, name any other move, because the engine, I mean, I suggest Queen A3, but the engine suggests F3, Rook F1, any move, slow move, just not changing the character of the position and just assessing that you have to play kind of fast. It's a +2. You know you're an IM, you feel it. Let me tell you, I feel it that white is better. I wouldn't probably have guessed of +2 because I'm a little bit pessimistic nowadays, but for sure, plus 0.5 I would have said at the very least, or +1. So e4, king h1, the mistake, knight c5. This is a king h1 is a mistake because it loses a move and basically just allows this thing with knight over here, just threatening, and it's a major threat of knight d3. So you absolutely have to eliminate the knight instead of king h1. Of course, now you have to play g4, but good luck finding that with 3 minutes. So that's out of the menu. And yeah, queen d4, you have to play a slow move, just assessing that knight c5 is a threat, but keeping the queen on the d file is just something very impractical to a human. Just to find g4 next or c5, giving up d5 square, the d5 square, which cannot be occupied like right now. But knight c8 is coming and knight c4, and then just going in front of the rook. You can see this, but with 3 minutes is very, very hard. Let me tell you, to see all of the moves, all the nuances. My God, to see everything and decide on them when your opponent has 9 minutes and 30 seconds, he's just banging and playing, and he's a grandmaster, and he's 111, no, 109 elo higher than you. You just collapse, mentally at the very least. That's what I do. It depends. So king h1, collapsing mentally. Bishop takes c5. You have to do it. Don't get me wrong, white is still better, I think. But you have to play very precisely. White gets a pawn, is up a pawn now. Queen e7 and the knight returns to a5. But notice at the price of one pawn, black has gotten rid of the knight from d6, and also 4 seconds is what time Henry had before this move. Playing with 4 seconds, now he has 34. So it's good that he did not lose on time. Now everything is so sharp. Rook f1, just pinning the queen, inviting here for here, but rook e8, and then you can play queen c3, that's what he says. But black has a lot of counterplay with this passed pawn, and if rook comes to e6, you just overprotect it, and e2 and the rook tc1. And I wonder myself, what is this? Why not just rook d2, keeping the file intact? But Henry has a plan of his own, controlling the c file and pushing c5. But if I wanted to do it, I would still play rook d2, because if black does something without changing the character of the position, or like rook e6, something useful at the very least, not king h7, I can still play c5. I don't need the rook on c1. So I know I'm judging and I know I'm harsh, I'm criticizing, but I like Henry. Don't take it the wrong way, guys. Don't say I'm a menace, or I'm just critiquing. I'm just blah blah blah. I'm just moaning and bitching around it, and I'm just complaining. But I want the best for my guys from Romania and everything. At Queen takes e2. Let's see what happened, because the game finished abruptly. Turns out that Henry got rid of the pawn, and what's going on is just a +4. So was this the mistake? It turns out that queen c4 was the mistake, the major mistake, and my timer is out. I wonder how much I recorded, but I don't really have much time left in this video because it's already 11:10 p.m. As you can see, I've also changed my hoodie and I came from training. But anyway, other than that, so queen c3 is a major mistake, just precisely because of this great, brilliant 93. It's only just a great move, but it's an only move to sacrifice this, and he played with 4 seconds gleb. That's crazy, it's insane. Now, Gleb had 34 seconds, he played the next move with 3 seconds. It's crazy. Queen h4 again, the only move. So, okay, Henry reacted quite correctly, g3, but Queen h3 is a miss, but it's a time trouble. And then he collapsed, he blundered, he just needed to find one more move, but with 4 seconds, he couldn't do so. Now, I would be thinking of Queen f3, but it turns out that it's a mate in 5 after this with knight g4. Just here is a threat, rook takes e1, this is a threat, queen takes h2. If you try to stop, how do you stop? You cannot stop both of them. Queen g2 just falls to rook e1. Comes to check and you're just gonna lose. Takes, takes, takes. And then queen h2. I don't even need to take your queen. So, and other than that, rook e6 just falls to queen takes h2. So, queen f3 was my initial thought. But queen d2 is a possibility with a minus game, a small disadvantage. And rook g1 is also with like a better position for black. Now it turns out that knight g4 doesn't work so much because of queen g2. You hang on in there, kick the queen away, and then play something like h3 and try to survive at actually rook c2. And it's very hard with 4 seconds on the clock to find all of this. That's why you don't really go into this. And that's why you don't get on the time. Like, it's harsh, you know? And the knight c4 is the best move by the engine. Good luck finding this. Knight takes c4, just queen takes c4. The rook is pinned, the rook is attacked, you're just gonna win it. For example, king f7, my guess is just you take, and rook e1, and it's all over. There's no way to defend the rook on e6, and black is just losing a rook, and he's getting mated soon afterwards, as it's a plus 13. 13 for white in that variation. And other than that, only move for black just to not lose and collapse immediately would have been knight g2, where knight e5 can come, sacrificing the exchange, knight takes e1, rook takes e1. If you are white, you have to find all of this with 4 seconds. If you are black, you have to find this with like 3 seconds too. But even at the grandmaster level, it's almost impossible. Before, or actually rook g1 is better, but then a5, yeah, just with such a strong knight and with 3-6 against 4, knight and 2 pawns against the rook, it's a better position for white, and it's a stable position for white, more important rather than anything else. Queen c4 is an idea, a3 b4, c6 is another idea, and that's about it. But Henry blundered with queen b2, and now it's just all over. After the next move in the game, you can try to pause the video and find it right now. Try to do it as I take a huge gulp of water from my barrel over here. I don't know how to call it. And then I will open up a bar, candy bar. So find the best move for black. Black to open up the position a little bit and just threaten, have a discovered game, a discovered attack, giving you a hint, and just find the right continuation. Write it down below so I know that you're paying attention. If you don't want to do it, just enjoy the show and I will show it to you. So, good luck for doing it, putting in the effort. You guys are awesome, who really did it, especially those who wrote a comment. If you didn't, you still have a chance, a couple of seconds. And right now, I'm just gonna present the winner. Winner, chicken dinner, knight to d1, and knight f2 is coming. For example, if I just move the queen out of the knight f2 would come if I play something like queen e5, for instance. But of course you can take. But knight f2 will come after you take and then play something like knight b3. But the major thing, knight is attacking the queen. It's a double exclamation mark if I open up the engine. The rook is being attacked, and that's about it. It's all shit wrote after this. The game ended after knight d1, rook e takes d1, and rook e2, and Henry lost as it's moved 32 seconds for Henry, 102 for Gleb. After rook e2, the queen is attacked, and worse than that, there's no way to stop. Checkmate. There is absolutely no way, even after you give up the queen, Black just recaptures even after you give a check. That's it. You can even try to give up the rook, but the queen is not blockaded either here, either on h2, either queen f1. They are all checkmate, and either rook e1 checkmate. They are all winning the game. So if you found this, good luck. You're awesome. You're tremendous. And it was a bad day for Henry. But as I've spoken earlier, as I've told you guys, do not use your time badly, poorly. Use it wisely. Don't spend too much. Your time is your resource. It's your ally. It's your body. Okay, so I've recorded for 1 hour and 13 minutes, but it doesn't feel like that. Of course, I've just covered two more games. What am I talking about? Okay, now I'm really rushing. I'm really in huge time trouble myself. As okay, every chess player has time trouble managing time, so myself included. So if I judge Henry, I should judge myself for mismanaging the time on this video, right? Did you get the joke? Did you laugh at it? Did you smile at it? Well, okay, we're watching Henry with the black pieces, not swapping the colors right now or reversing the board, just like that. And Henry is playing a Sicilian, and I haven't seen him too much playing a Sicilian. Actually, I haven't looked at too many games of his. I don't know what he really plays nowadays. So it turns out he played the A6. So in the Open Sicilian, basically the Najdorf variation. We have a Najdorf. Yay! UPUPA. The sharpest variation. All right. So this game turned into another loss. All right. I just spoiled the result for you, but it's a 90 move game. So we're just gonna fast forward a little bit. Just bear with me, make a cross. 90 moves, guys. We begin. Grab your popcorn, grab your chips. It's only round, what? Round six? Is it round six? I think it's round six. All right. Playing against Dimitrios, I think from Greece, was Henry. And yeah, 2-3-3-8. So it's unfortunate that he lost to a lower rated opponent, but there's no bad player, even if they are lower rated with 120 or 119 elo lower than you, it doesn't really matter as you can also get crushed by anybody, especially if you have the black pieces and you don't know what you're doing. Bishop to e6. It seems like Henry knows what he's doing. He's playing against this line with g4, h4. It looks like an English system against the Sicilian defense against the Najdorf, but with some twist to it. Wonder who's better here. That's why I asked. It's plus 0, 12, so it's white with a minimal edge, but it's almost equal. So rook g1, knight h7, rook h1 going back, just defending h4, but you can basically give it up because queen takes d6 will happen, but so therefore I don't know why rook h1 went back. Was there a better move? No, it's just going back. Is this theory? Because he's blitzing out all the moves, 1 hour and 31 minutes, and he's still doing it. Knight h7, knight f6, rook g1, rook h1. My guy just wants a draw. Damn, Dimitrios just wanted a draw. Henry doesn't want a draw. He has courage and balls of steel, and he goes for the throat. Bishop takes h4, just changing the move order, just trying to win. But is there no way to refuse the repetition? There is with castles, but it's such a committal move that it's very scary to play. Maybe he was thinking g5, hg, hg, and you just play bishop takes g5 and you close your eyes, you say your prayers, and you say, okay, God, help me, don't get checkmated along the H file, along the G file. Now the engine crunched the numbers and says 0-0, but bishop takes e3, the only way to play for black. F takes e3, queen g5, only move for stability and equality, and a better game for black. Queen takes c3 check. Long castle is absolutely necessary for white, and then queen takes with check, king b1, and rook fc8. And black just has a better game as he has a couple of pawns. That means one pawn extra, good development, good bishop on e6. The only thing is, as a liability, is the knight on h7, as it needs to re-enter the game. And for example, bishop to d3 is a possibility. Queen b6, you can see that only one with the dark color over here is like an only move. You just offer a queen exchange, queen e7, queen d8, and after something like, I don't know, queen a3, only way to play for white, because if you trade the queens, Black is immediately better with +1. The endgame is not scary. My ringtone just ringed and I have to go. So let's go. So Queen A3, Queen F8 would have been something interesting. Queen A4, B5 or G6. Now everything is equal. 0 0 B5, Queen A5, maybe G6. I was thinking about Queen D8, Queen A3. You can repeat, but you can also not. You can repeat once and then play Knight HF8 immediately. Then maybe Knight G6. But I mean, it's a double-edged position. It's around about even, and anything can happen. So this could have continued in a different manner instead of bishop takes h4 and going into this very, very sharp, nevertheless, variation with queen takes d6, bishop to e7, queen d3, and Henry again is down on the clock. Bishop g5. What do you know? Castles long by Dimitrios, his opponent. I wonder why he doesn't have an FM here as he is over 2300. So anyway, white got a lot of development and an equal pawn, like pawns. F takes c3, changing the character of the position, double pawns, but an open d file, an open f file, and now it's very different. Wow, and now he castles. Finally, a bold move, and wow, indeed, plus 1.5 for black. But how did he lose this game? Rook c8, this knight is not doing anything. This is the major liability for white. Another major liability is this bishop on e2. So you have two bad pieces, only a good one on d5, but just chop chop. And basically you'll be left out with no good pieces as white. So that explains the evaluation. King to b1, just making a prophylactic move. Knight hf6, just putting more attack there. Pawn to c4, sustaining the knight but weakening the king. Knight takes g4, just winning another pawn. And this is very dangerous, very risky. I wonder if the engine agrees with it. It doesn't say any mistake, but definitely a little bit lower variation, but it's still the same almost around advantage. The actual blunder, as I see as a red, came on move 32. So if we fast forward a little bit, Henry basically played correctly. He won a pawn, but opened up the g file. So white definitely has some play. So black is just now starting his attack on the queen side with b5, trying to play something. But queen a3 is very, very tricky. This guy, Dimitrios, is still playing very fast, controlling e7, preparing knight e7, check and on the rook. So you have to attend to it, but Henry does not do that. He just invites it. But if you play it, you're just gonna move the king. If you take, I was thinking maybe to take on d2. That was my only original, the initial thought. And I think it should work. Both pieces are attacked. How do you defend both of them? The answer is you don't. It's +4 for black, completely winning. So anyway, so knight takes c4, then there is this solution. And I'm just gonna open up my baton here, my candy bar. It's not a candy bar, it's a protein bar, but anyway. Knight takes d5. Rook d1 pinning the knight and the queen. Now here, here, hmm, hmm. Okay. You got to this position after this check and the e4, where you can just capture the pawn. It's a free pawn. The point is just to open up the queen and the knight, but was it that bad just to move the king? Yeah, it was. Okay. So Henry was +2, even here. He's winning a pawn, he's hitting the king. Queen f2. Good. The game is fine. Why do you play queen f6? Why? Queen f6 is the blunder. As a miss. Now, luckily, the game only turns to equal after this. What is your suggestion, my guy, if the viewer, if you are watching this? My dear YouTube spectator, my subscriber, what is your suggestion? Write a comment down below. I will put my suggestion. First initial thought was like f6 or knight here. I know you can take for sure. Guys, write down your opinions. What would you play here? It's very important. This was a crucial game, guys. He was better. plus 2 almost. Up a pawn, no? 4, 5, up 2 pawns. What are you thinking? What's going on? Here, another suggestion. So I've said 3 moves, guys. And we have another one, which is the 4th one in the game. You guys come up with some ideas, write them down below, in the chat, in the comment. You can write anything you want, any variation. That's about it. Why is it a blunder? Just it removed the active queen, and it just lost a move. And it lost 2 moves after rook df1. You just lost 2 moves with black, and you're losing on the clock. That's 57 seconds versus 10:39. Alright, 93, 95, 95, hitting the queen, getting a lot of activity for the 2 missing pawns as white. d6, major asset, the pawn, the knight. Every piece of white plays in this game. Rook e8, just inviting here, 97, which doesn't work because the rook can just capture and the queen is hanging. So rook takes g5, a sacrifice, damn. And the point is, if you take, I might play something and switch to the h file. I believe that's my idea, which Henry took. And exactly this happens. That's insane. Queen c6 going for counterplay with queen c1, and I think a3, right? a3. Rook cd8 with 7 seconds on the clock played. Now, other ideas are 97. 97. What do you know? Black is just in trouble. On the clock, majorly. Maybe on the board you have something like f6, but rook cd8 I think is very, very slow. But okay, if you don't play rook cd8, play f6. Look at this, guys. What is this? What is this? d7. And now pause the video and find the next move. Simple one. White 2 move and win. Immediately. Win major material. Okay, write it down below, please. Okay? That's it. The move is knight h6. Check. Releasing an attack from the queen. You take the knight. I take your queen. You resign the game. And we go home. Shake hands and that's it. So a3. Rook cd8. Sidestepping pawn to d7. Rook h1. It's almost over. The mate threats are just imminent. Queen takes h1. Giving up the queen. Last resort. There was no f6, it turns out. It was queen h7 here. And at the very least, I can play something like knight g7 and probably win the game. But there's rook h8, so I doubt about it. But queen g7 here. Now, I don't really know. Maybe here, maybe here, maybe it's almost equal. So not this, actually. Oh, wow. Hmm. Insane. Insane move. Wow. Okay. And white just wins. King moves, rook check, and mate. Mate in 3. After you give up all of the pieces. So queen takes h1, queen takes h1, g6, knight e7, king g7, queen c6, overprotecting the pawn. And the knight is very strong there. Black is lost, unfortunately, after the time control. Rook takes e7, rook e8. Trying the major thing, the only defense is a fortress. Queen e6, not allowing black anything. g3, trying to distract the queen. And then we get this position, move 49, when the pawns are eliminated, and we reach the struggle for a draw with black for a fortress, and white is just, of course, completely winning, as he has 2 pawns over here, which is promised him the major land and the win. But we are still treated to a 90 move game, so let's see what happens. Here, rook f7, here, queen f4, here, I'm missing a bar of protein, here, 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 hmm, 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 hmm. White wins the pawn, black wins some activity, the king is active, the rook is active, the pawn is here. Henry is really trying to push for a win even. But we'll see. Here, hmm, hmm, here, here, winning, king e2, here, here, here. Excuse me for eating and my insolence. Now it's plus 70, right? Of course, you had to play a queen move, like plus 70 after queen e4. Here, here, it's over. Here, just queen g4. Here, queen h4. Here and here, check. Here, there's no check. There's no defense almost. Here, check. Here, 8, queen. Choose one. Wow, what a move. What a position. Screenshot. Immediately screenshot. This is going into Canva. This will be a thumbnail. Go ahead, move with black, I dare you. If it's white's move, wait, is it if it's white's move? I was wondering if it's a stalemate, but it's not a stalemate. If it's black's move, of course, the only move is rook takes h1 and then queen takes h1. That's it. But there's not even a stalemate chance. That's it. It's over. But no, the move is 83 after b5. Still some struggle, but he did not even take the rook, because if you take the rook, you allow a promotion to a knight check. And a joke. So, okay, Dimitrios is not having any fun. No jokes, no clowns, nothing here. Just some checks. Even this rook sacrifice was. This is called tura turbata. Turnul turbat, it means the crazy rook, mad rook. I'll use queen d3 check. After you move the queen, I move the queen. Promotion, 91 moves. Alright, save it to a collection. Let's move, let's roll. It's 11:33 p.m. I need to go to sleep. It's 1 hour and 47 minutes. I need my sleep of beauty. So, unfortunate result for Henry in the sixth round, but he had it coming with that time usage. I'm sorry. Look, he did not have it coming, but if he, I mean, he had the plus two position. He was much better and almost completely winning. But he just overcomplicated his task and just didn't really realize that he's much stronger over these weak players. And he just held two strong draws against grandmasters, and then he lost. And then, okay, finally he is winning. He won against this candidate master, but it took him a lot of time. It's move 67 this game, and we really don't have time. So please, somebody email or message Henry or his parents rather, because he's underage, and tell them to tell him, tell them just next time, please play shorter games for me for their Mr. Fighter chess can cover them faster. The video is shorter. Everybody can go home. And you just win, you just crush everybody. You play 11 out of 11. That's the points you will get. You just crush and win. You adopt, right? Everybody, the field, you adopt them. That's what you call when you just win everything. And you just win and win and win. And you crush and you destroy and you dominate the field. So somebody email them, the parents, and tell them this and say that it comes from Mr. Fighter Chess. And next time he will make a shorter video and just showcase Harry's games and just make him famous, right? And just show them to the world and like with some laurels and stuff and what am I saying? Just saying the benefits of the position. So we have right here the Grunfeld construction for black, and for white is just a normal development as a queen's pawn. So bishop e2, this, castles, a5, pawn to b3, just sustaining the center. Now Henry is a little bit upset, I think, as he's playing faster. So that's good. Good news at the very least. After losing 2 games, I guess I would become very, very upset. And I would start playing faster. But now again, he goes into thinking mode just before capturing the queen. Anyway, but he decided on it at the very least. And now knight d4 just to sacrifice a pawn and complicate matters. So that's why he thought there for like 10 minutes or 13 to take the queen or not. And let's see what he gets after this pawn sacrifice. Because we have it on the board. C takes b3, a takes b3, and knight to c6. But he gets bishop to f3. And then what? Why not just takes, and rook captures? Which black did not play after a lot of think. And Henry is again on 38 minutes. Why are you doing this to yourself, Henry, boy? So knight takes d4, if it happened, I'm just guessing. Bishop takes, I mean pawn takes, then rook takes, no? Rook takes d4 is 0-0. And knight d7 is just almost 0-0. So, okay, Henry again thought for a long time, and he did not play the best moves. Alright, somebody also sent an email, another email, tell the parents, tell Henry, you have to play faster, also for another reason. When you overthink, you play bad moves. Okay? Your first instincts are much stronger. If you wanted to play this, play it. Alright? If you wanted to play, okay, rook d1 is the engine suggestion, bishop to f3 is now the engine suggestion, and bishop to b2 is another suggestion. But how bad is knight db5? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so he really needs to stop this. But, okay, why not just... Is bishop c4 so bad? 94, okay. Then don't enter these variations. Why are you entering them? Why not just 94 immediately? Yeah, just tell just tell Henry to play faster next time. Anyway, bishop d7 was a miss by black. Okay, we don't have all day, but it turns out that we kind of covered all the games like all day. Knight takes d4, he takes d4, bishop c6, knight to b6. But this is the thing when you say all the moves, and I'm doing it in a rhythm like Agat Mator. Rook to a7, but it's because I care about you guys. I'm trying to provide quality videos. Finally. Bishop takes c6, b takes c6, knight c4, hitting the pawn on a5. The position is again rather complicated, but Henry knows what he's doing as he's playing against the CM of 200 points lower. Rook takes a5, rook d7, pawn to b4. Here, king g7, king f1. It's nothing major happening, just a dry position. Black has some targets, and white has some weaknesses to defend. Mm. Now, this is very interesting, suddenly. But you cannot capture yet because the rook is hanging. Here, here, rook b3, knight c7, remaneuvering the knight, knight b5. Okay, so who's better? Black is better. Where were the mistakes? Well, there are no mistakes here. So this is quality play by some masters, Canada master and an international master. Quality play, the last couple of moves, 10 moves, 5 moves, just quality play. Okay. And pawn to f4, pawn to e4, rook d1, king e6, rook cd2, rook d5, just stabilizing. Black's pieces feel very organized and very active, and black feels better. Much better, actually. Wow, plus 1.6. But the pawns are still equal. But okay, he has a passer over here. Okay, so where did white go wrong? f4. Who would have thought? For 2 times in a row. He played this against Gleb, and now he's playing this against Giga, a CM from Georgia, or Giga, however you pronounce it. Anyway, so rook c2, but okay, Henry won this game, so let's see how. Bishop t2. Oh my god, he played with 1 second. No, he had what, 4 seconds here? Oh no, no, no. Okay, but he won the game, but he played rook c2 with 1 second. No, Henry, don't do this to us. Please, somebody tell him that, but from his fans, we are almost having a heart attack when we see the clock stamps. And we're like, no, please don't lose on the clock. Just don't lose on time. I mean, some games he lost on the board because of the time, but he didn't lose because he ran out of time. He just ran out of moves on the board because of the time, indirectly from the time. Bishop to f2, or rather lack of time. Knight d4, rook b2, bishop c1, hitting the rook, rook b1. So how did he turn this around? Bishop e1. Oh, that's how he turned it around. Rook e1, just trading off black's active piece. Oh, because he got to time control and he survived. Yes, that's how he got things turned around. But how is black so stupid to lose this game? h5, king e3 by Henry, h4 by Giga, rook d2. Oh, oh no. Something bad is coming. H3. Okay, I think black is still better now. Oh no, it's 0-0. Wow, rook d1. I was looking at some knight c6 stuff. Now it's much better. What if play rook a4? Now suddenly knight b3 is winning. Here I just take with check and then I protect my knight. Here, here, here. And it's winning. And other than that, after rook d1, king takes c5 unpinning, rook takes d4. Oh, oh. Check, 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 down, fork. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So you have to play here rook b5 and you just admit that you're down on a knight with black. Rook d5, rook a4. Yep, that's basically it. You have some counterplay with 2 pawns for the knight, but that was just basically it. A miss from Henry, but maybe he got it. Oh, rook a4. He just blundered. He just made a big blunder. Oh no, he did not. Hold on. This is not a game. Rook a4 was a blunder. Sorry, don't get excited. Now rook takes d4. Yes, he gets to the same position, but because the pawn is on h3, now it's equal. It's not +1. How does this work? Just because white lost a move. Same variation, same thing, rook b2, but because black gets here and here, he has counterplay. Oh, but no, rook b2 is bad. I'm sorry, rook b1 was better. Oh, major difference. What's the major difference, though? It's because you cannot stop. Rook takes h3. Rook d2 check, king e6, king d4, and what if I don't want to stop it? Oh, I have here black is better. Black is better down on knight there. My god, I don't know anything about chess. Of course black is better because the pawn runs. Rook c3, king d4, and rook d3 just wins. Here, and I promote the pawn. Yeah. Okay, too much analysis, too much video, too much time. Nobody has time for any of this stuff. But okay, rook d4 check and rook d2. Oh, and if rook had on b1, had been on b1, rook h1, rook h3 was unstoppable. So now you just need to figure something new. So that's how Henry won. Rook c2 check and knight c4. Finally getting back into the game. Let's see how much. 2 hours almost. Okay. Out of 7 rounds. Okay, only 4 more rounds. Let's go. Guys, we can do it. King e2, rook takes h3, knight e3 check. Okay, so luckily Henry has a pawn as he can convert it into a win by keeping this pawn and promoting later on. Knight d4. Oh, a fork down again. And finally he calculated everything that after taking the rook, taking and getting into this king and pawns endgame, he just wins the game. This was beautiful. The ending was beautiful after so many mistakes in the opening and getting to such a difficult position, not to say losing, but getting okay. Knight c4 was also a mistake because rook b3. He did play this. Oh, but you don't have to take. Oh, yeah, and he took it immediately. He judged that this knight takes f5 is not so bad, but actually it is. Yeah, how do you defend rook takes h3? Honestly, knight d6, rook e3 check. Wow, this is intense. Here rook f3 and rook takes f4. Here, rook d3, and it's just a repetition. King f1, rook h3, 0-0. How does this work? King d3, the king is active. Damn, black needed to find some good moves to hold the game. I mean, after losing a knight, you're just in no position to find out these moves. Yeah, but good game by Henry at the end. Good recovery, but I mean, although I'm supporting him and I mean, with this video I'm supporting him because I'm not supporting him in any way. Only his parents support him and his trainer. But I'm just clapping for him and I'm just complimenting him. Sometimes I'm judging him here and I'm criticizing him, but I'm showcasing his game, so it's a major thing and it's a popular thing, and I'm probably gonna share this to Facebook as well. Huh. As the link, maybe I'll get some Romanian followers. So d4 or subscribers, knight f6, c4, e6. Okay, keeping to what do you call this? East Indian defense. It's from the eastern side, guys, east of India. G3, and this FM, as he is his opponent, Henry's opponent, chose this G3, the Catalan. Okay, d5. Let's see how much of Catalan theory do you know with Black Henry. Wow, just going for this right away. I know bishop b4, check, bishop d2 and bishop to e7 is a, I mean, I kind of like it more as it's more practical, as the bishop d2 is kind of annoying for white, and you play bishop to f4 anyway. I mean, I used to play like this like 5 years ago when I was worse at chess, but I don't know, nowadays I don't even play against the Catalan because I play the Grunfeld right away. But anyway, bishop to e7, knight f3, castles, what do I know? I'm just 2100. And d takes c4, commenting at 2450 players games. So queen c2, this is a nice theory, and now b5. Okay, let's see how much Henry knows. a4, b4. Wow, really? b4? I mean, it's probably the best move, no? No, bishop b7 is the best move. Okay, did he come prepared? Okay, he did. He knows the line with b4. It's the second best move before. So knight d2, knight d5, knight takes c4, and c5. Okay, once black gets the break with pawn to c5, generally he's considered to be fine because all of these squares are generally weak in black's camp in the Catalan. So d takes c5, bishop takes c5. Even after you get this break, you must be very careful with the hanging bishop over here. And still the squares are still weak, but at least you don't have a weak pawn backwards. e4. Okay, who's better here? Is it black? No, it's white. It's the knight b6. So okay, the opening was so and so for Henry, but he's playing faster, blitzing it 1 hour and 31 minutes, as the FM from Germany is also blitzing it. And now knight bd7. They're both blitzing their moves. Interesting. Finally, Henry has learned his lesson. A takes b6, but still white is quite better here. But you don't have to think all day. Bishop to a6. Finally, the first thing of the game. And is it the best move by the engine? It definitely is. Okay, good usage of your time, Henry. Thank you. Knight to b3 now. So the bishop is very active on this diagonal, the most active diagonal. And now bishop to e7, just going back, keeping everything intact. And knight c5, if, for example, if queen d2, knight c5 is a possibility. But bishop to e3, just developing, keeping the pressure, rook c8, and just asking the question of the queen. And if you, again, you go to the d file, which happened, then I can move my knight. But he decides against knight c5, just went to e5. And I wonder about it. Knight e5 is the best. Knight c5, is it so bad? After queen before, you don't have any good discoveries with the bishop. You know, and because also he discovered the attack from the rook. So, okay, knight e5 is the best. 2 minutes thought. Okay, queen captures, bishop captures. So that's the point, because you had to tend to the b6 pawn. All right, bishop to d4. Okay, this is the 8th game. 3 more games after this one. So how many more? 56. Okay, let's go, guys. e5. I really need to go. I also need to go to sleep. So anyway, f takes e5. F takes e5. The pawn structure is kind of actualized, like it's fresh now. It's refresh. It's how do I say? It's stabilized. You understand everything. It's a pawn on e5 against a pawn on e6. That's it. That's the major thing. So okay, bishop g5 controlling everything over here. Some lines are bishop e3 or knight e3, some are those ideas. But look at this, the major weakness is the pawn on e6, and white just hits it. So you have to defend it, rook e8. Another idea, I guess, would be like king f7, the bold king f7 with king e7, but I think, I don't know what to think, but it turns out that white is better, and rook f8 is the best. Wow, such a major difference in evaluation. Now, it's the same evaluation only from the black side. Like, there with the king over here, it will be plus 0.8 for white. Now it's plus 0.8 for black. Insane. So a5, b takes a5, knight c5, bishop to e3 check, swapping the pieces off, takes, and now hitting the rook, knight takes a6, knight takes d1. Hold on, white is just two pieces for a rook, but black has these menacing pawns and just some initiative as white's pieces are very unorganized. Though 3, 2, 5, so black also has a pawn along the rook, and he is still with a small edge, but he gave some black Henry gave some of his advantage in doing this. So rook c2 now. Okay, that pawn is very hard to defend. b3 and now a4, just immediately going for the throat. Wow, a3 is such a spectacular move. If you take, just b3 and b2 and b1 hopefully, or rook c1. So white played knight takes b4 and black is winning here. Even after knight takes b4, rook c1, the only move. Even a4 was the only move. King f2, a takes b3, and b2 and b1 is coming. You might have to play rook d2 here. Yeah, but he played knight d3, and this is very simple. Just b2 and protect the rook, bring a queen, or rook or b1 queen next. Oh, but you lose. Okay, he lost the knight. Knight takes b2, rook c2, check, and rook takes b2. And you have to convert this 3 against 3 with 2 on 2 on the same side and e pawns. And so if you grab the e5 pawn and you're up a pawn, it's good. And you have chances of grabbing it because it's on a dark square. Now, because I turned down the red. And the bishop can never defend the pawn. And if you can organize an attack like this and like this, just with the major pieces, then this pawn should fall. So, okay, I think 60 moves. Okay, around 60 moves now. It's explainable why Henry took so long. He first tried to reach time control, and he managed in doing so just by repeating the position once. But now he goes for the plan that I've just mentioned, rook c5, and again the freaking annoying alarm, which tells me if I am to respect my alarms, this stopwatch is like I would have to kind of hurry up because the time rang, and it means that I had to finish the video before the time rang. So now I really need to finish the video. The time cannot ring again. So anyway, what happened is Henry swapped some rooks and gave up h7. So he's down a pawn, but he is the d passer, and along with the d passer, he gets some prospects for his rook also. Maybe rook e3 and some hits on these pawns, some clear targets, and then d3. Yeah, the king is cut off laterally, and d3, d2 is just winning. h6 takes, d2, bishop c2 is the only try, but then, okay, you have to kind of stop king e3, but then you just take, and he even allowed bishop to f5. If this is not brilliant, okay, he doesn't give a brilliancy to this. Damn, chess.com should give a 2 exclam mark to king e6 because it just allows a check, but then, okay, you do this or go anywhere, he take the rook and queen, and that's why it's a brilliant move, because it's a rook sacrifice for a queen. You know, rook, a major way of saying it, as Gotham chess. So king e4, king d4, of course, black is winning, he just promotes the pawn. Henry is winning because he did cut off the king earlier, but then, okay, king d3 is like the last move, d1, you just bring a queen. If the game would have continued like this, and then rook h1, and that's it, take the pawn, win the game, have some fun, have some juice because you're underage, and then have some fun afterwards. Alright, save this, add to collection, Romanian's games, and 3 more games to show. Wow, and then he got 3 wins. Damn, he's on a roll. Henry is a player. He's a kid of confidence when he wins. When he wins, he just rolls those wins. Another win. Let's see how he beat this Spanish guy, FM, in just 29 moves. Finally. Finally. This is peak Henry. Let's see. Knight c3. pawn to c6 and pawn to e4. He just goes for the most aggressive, very interesting line, very sharp. Okay, as Hikaru against Sindarov. Sindarov with the black pieces, Hikaru with the white pieces. Same opening, queen takes e4 check, bishop to e2, knight to a6. You have to play bishop to a3. Wait. Why not bishop to a3? Or bishop d6? Hold on. Bishop to c3, this is another line. Okay, maybe he likes it. He didn't think too much. Maybe he has played it online, and maybe he knows it. But okay, bishop to d6 is like top engine recommendation. Bishop to d6. Oh no, bishop to a5, I think happened in Hikaru. In Hikaru Sindarov, I think. So bishop to c3, f6, knight f3, not giving up any more pawns, as already white is already down a pawn, but for activity, for speedy development, and two bishops. Castles by black. Rook e1 by Henry. Aaron plays queen f4, the Spanish FM. 2296 is his elo. And Henry has 2457 and played bishop d3, queen c7, queen c2, knight g6, h4, rook e8, just improving the position, just making small adjustments. You might ask, okay, now can I take the knight? And why did he not defend it? If queen f7, I guess just h5 and h7 falls. So Henry did trick him into attacking majorly and just winning back his pawn with a better position. But we have a brilliant move. Wow, bishop takes f6. Brilliant. No wonder he did win in 29 moves. Maybe he could have won much faster. Two exclamation marks. Look at this. What an amazing move. Now I'm glad that I picked Henry and I'm finally covering his games. Maybe he was supposed to be the first one to begin with. And you guys, David, Gavrilescu, and the others, Dak, Bogdan, Daniel, Dak, you guys wait your turns, take in the queue. It's Henry's game. It's his showdown over here. Just a major bishop sacrifice. King f8, as he needed to protect the rook. And queen takes f6 check. Queen f7 blocking. And queen c3 in a major way. Just not rushing with queen h8 and king e7 would have come. I wonder if this was better. Okay, it wasn't better. It was the best move, queen c3, and he did invest some time, like 7 minutes, and now he's keeping all the threats, all the possibilities, all the options. By the way, it's not even felt that you're down a piece. You have two pawns compensation, and rook e3 is a major way of continuing the attack. I know that for a fact because I'm a major attacker, and I'm no pussy myself. I'm just joking, guys. So 95, rook e7, rook e4. Everything as expected. The knight goes into the center. Rook goes into the center. Rook f4 is threatened. King e8, sidestepping it, but you can go rook g4. Also, rook f4 was a possibility, but you can hit the queen. Rook d1 is strong, so that's another strong move. Queen g3 first doubling up, threatening a check that will result in a checkmate after you give up the queen. King d8, sidestepping the checkmate. Now we change the colors on the board. Rook d1 check, king c7, knight takes c6. Second brilliant move, sacrificing the knight for a checkmate. And it's a mate in 16 if I watched correctly. It's just brilliant. The king has nowhere to go except for b6 and c6, of course. Discovered check from the queen. If you push the pawn, I just take your rook and just play rook g7. So king b6, he did not take the knight. If you take the knight, can you find it, guys? Checkmate? Haha. I didn't say it. I didn't show it to you, and my phone rang. So that means I have to show it now. If you guys did not write in the comments down below, if you did, and if you did not say it, now I have to show it. And of course, it's queen d6. It's a checkmate in one. So for sure, king b6 is like the only move. But c5, another sacrifice. Kept insisting. Henry, he knocked on the door, and he finally banged the door. Queen d6 check, king b5, and a4, and now black just resigned the game because it's over. It's absolutely over. And why is it over? The rook protects the pawn. Black only has one move, which is queen a5. I mean king a5. And now white has a checkmate, a first checkmate. You guys can find it as you're awesome and absolutely nice subscribers. And I will take another gulp of water, and we will prepare for our last two games. So white to win, checkmate in two moves. Okay, the checkmate is actually in three moves, but I tricked you guys, and maybe you spent more time. But if you wrote down in the YouTube comments, then I appreciate you, and I truly congratulate you. And the move is, of course, queen d2 check for you guys. Knight before only move, queen takes before the only good move, and king a6, and then queen b5 checkmate. And okay, 2 hours and 15 minutes. My God, then I have some energy and I have some mouth, and I can run it and just talk endlessly. But it's a pleasure just watching the games and analyzing and learning and doing those clips. But I hope I'm learning something at chess too. But I'm giving up sleep in return as it's 12 a.m. But I hope you guys are just appreciative and are just glad and thankful, and grateful. So Henry goes for a pick defense, and he got a draw against the GM with this. And it's a major thing to do it. It's a major way. I love saying the major way, because it's not a minor way, it's a major way. I'm kidding, guys. Okay, so, all right. First things first. How long is this game? Very long, 72 moves, as expected as a GM against an IM. And the GM is called Jakub Kosakovsky, which I don't know of. He looks quite young, big hair, nice, nice face, nice haircut. Well, almost looks like he has lipstick, but okay. 7 out of 11. Anyway, so 2533 is his elo. Henry is 2457, and it's like around 76 difference of elo. Henry is lower than that. So knight f6, knight c3, bishop to e7, just playing like in the old days. Pawn to g3, okay, and now just majorly counteracting with d5. Nowadays, I will just use the major word, okay, and you guys have to use it when you watch my clips. It's a major thing, and it's a major video. So e5, knight g4, and okay, so of course, first things first, g3 is a slow move that allowed this push. And second thing is it better for black, is it better for white, or is it equal? Well, it's better for white. Who would have thought? Is d5 bad? Yes, it's not the best. It's not necessarily that it's bad, but it's almost an inaccuracy, half of it, because the engine doesn't give it with the, with that with the marks. And so castles was like the recommendation, and just playing rook e8 and just to finally find something there. Also, I think e takes d4 is like a concession, but okay, the first thing as a concession is the pair with the six, but okay, you can do it, and if you can get a draw against a GM with a pair, I mean, you must have a pat on your back, Henry, and we're gonna see the game. But yeah, okay, so another suggestion after g3 is bishop d7 with some knight c6 or bishop c6. Or other suggestions are a5, just taking into account more space. If you don't change the character of the position with so playing a4, knight c6, bishop g2, and then simply castles, and still going for rook e8. Now my question is after f4, oh, now you go d5. So Henry knew something, but not in the right way. But anyway, d5, here, bishop g2, this is what we saw. Okay, 2 minutes. Can I finish the game? Guys, can you cross your fingers 70 moves in 2 minutes? Let's see. Knight takes c5, queen e2 hitting the knight. Now hitting the knight on d4, defending with bishop e3, takes, and now he's hitting the pawn on g7. Good so far. Castle is just protecting it, getting the king out of harm's way. Knight takes d5 is moved 12, so 60 more moves in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Bishop b4 check, a major way of sacrificing it and returning with queen takes d4. And of course, you shouldn't do. I think in my mind I would play c3 or maybe bishop c3. Nevertheless, in the worst case scenario, but not knight takes b4, knight queen takes d4 and c3. Okay, maybe also a good way to play. But I mean, I just took your bishop bd4, your bishop d4, your pride of your position, dark square bishop. But anyway, queen d8, going back, not allowing queenside castle, and now c6, just numbing the bishop g2 and the knight b4 out of the game. So rook a d1 hitting the queen, knight d7 developing, rook f1 developing for the white side too. Queen b6 getting out of the pin, h3 just making a loft and taking away the g4 square from black's pieces. As knight f6, now bishop g4 is no longer an idea. Pawn to g4 even threatening this with g5 maybe to come. Bishop to e6, Maybe I'm talking very fast, but is what I need to finish the game and finish the video. The knight was hit, 97, b3, kind of killing off the bishop, biting into granite, and maybe preparing c4 after the knight moves or something like that. Rook fd8, knight c2, queen a5, knight d4, and you guys can see I'm no longer pissed. I didn't even uh, think about the student that I have and that kid and how he cried. Just reminded you guys of it right now. Now I'm pissed off a little bit again. Wah, 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 wah. Rook e8, queen g3, rook a8, h4, and bishop c8. And now it's like rook takes e8, rook takes e8, and so everything so far so good. White is of course trying to attack with two pawns, so like a minority attack, keeping this here and trying to win all three, winning the endgame with one pawn, right? Because there's 3 against 3. Yeah, black is quite passive, so not much going on. My timer expires, so turns out I didn't go for 70 moves, but 20 is still good. So okay, anyway, 2 hours and 20 minutes. So queen a3, king h2, queen c1 hitting the rook, queen d3, knight g6, improving the position, hitting the pawn, king g3 defending the pawn and getting the king up, but it will be in a I want to say major way, of a harm's way, in a major harmful way. Wow, knight g4, there you go. And Henry agrees with me. Bishop g4, just sacrificing the bishop for a nice, what guys? Say it down below. So I know that I can interact with you, I can hear you. There's no way to actually talk with you other than that because I'm talking alone at the camera, and unless you guys leave a comment, you can never talk to me. It's sinister, you know? This ghost, I'm alone and I'm only speaking alone. So obviously the move is 95, checking the king and checking the queen. It's like I'm checking it. So check you out, Miss Lady. I'm holla at you. I'm gonna holla at you. So anyway, bishop g4. Yeah. If you don't take, then my bishop is nice there, and I'm stopping h5. So bishop can come to h5, and that's what basically happened. But first to check. Rook f2, and now another sacrifice. Wait. With 34 seconds, you cannot do that against the Grandmaster. Come on, Henry. You're just gonna get away with a draw after this? Knight takes h4. Wow, he was winning. Wow, here and you're winning. Takes and takes is a threat. It's a major fork. Of course, I would have said the major word. The M word. If somebody annoys you, you just say the M word. You say it in a major way. And so queen f2 takes f2, takes the rook to take the bishop, and black just tapped the exchange, winning. For example, here, black is a rook for a knight and just an attack on the king and it's over. So after knight f4, you might consider just moving the queen away and asking what's going on. And now bishop to f5. Damn. Bro, what is this, man? Honestly, I'm just confused. What are these sacrifices? What's going on, man? Knight h5, just winning the rook. This is a plus 10, because the bishop is hanging and then g6 is coming. Bro, what is this? And if knight takes f5, wow, knight h5, what a move. Knight e2 check here. Again winning the rook because of the pin. Damn, Henry was winning and he missed the win. Bishop to f5 is just 2 exclamation mark. Knight f4 is another exclamation mark after bishop g4. Because of course, bishop g4, 2 exclam, and then 2 questions. Here, queen e1, the best move, rook f2, and knight f4 is like the only move for +4 and winning straight away. But 38 seconds, and he played this with 4 seconds. So there's no reason to judge him. But I'm still baffled. I'm very baffled. Queen d2, what about queen d2? Knight e2 check. Wow. It's over. It's just over. If you move the queen, I take you. If you move the king, I take your queen. No, it's checkmate in one. Even better. If you take, I take the queen. If you take with the queen, which is the best move, I just take your queen. And it's +4 at the end. Move the bishop away, and I have a queen for a rook and a knight. It's just plus. You're not getting away from this pin, by the way. It's just bishop b1 next. Pawns are equal, but material is not, as the queen is just in a major way. You guys knew I would say that. So knight takes h4, still good, plus 1.5. Let's see where he did go wrong. Okay, offers a queen trade. Knight takes g2. Okay, if you trade queens, we're swapping knight for bishop. Is this a mistake? It definitely is a miss. Oh no, I thought he had plus one. Oh no, not now the stockfish crunched the numbers. He no longer says knight h4. He says h5 plus 1.5. You still can't take here because of rook e3 check. And you still need to find a way to continue. Queen d2, queen e5, f4 for instance, queen e3 check. Now you trade the queens. If you take, then I'm winning this, and it's over. f5 is just nothing after 95 I wanted to say, but knight h4 is even better. Two pawns up and a winning position. And other than that, if uh, if you don't play queen d2 and you play knight c2, another suggestion by the engine, queen e7, and that's it. The pieces are just hanging for white. Here queen e5. Oh no, not queen e5. I mean queen c7 is better. King h3, h takes g4. Because if the queen was in e5, there's no knight e5 as it is here. Wow, what a combination. What a beautiful game. What a pleasure to watch it and comment on it right now. And don't get me wrong, guys. After knight h4 and now knight takes g2, and after everything is all said and done, queen takes d2, and it's, I mean, still had black still has a plus. A small edge, still up a pawn, but a plus nevertheless. 93, is it better than 91? Yes, it is by the engine suggestion. So, okay, 5 seconds, 4 seconds into my timer. And anyway, 95, 93. Okay, another 6 minutes and that's it. Okay, I have to do this in the next game in 6 minutes, another under 6 minutes. 97, king f8, takes. So we go into a rook ending, and the grandmaster is just thinking, I don't want to lose this game. That's why he went into the rook ending in the first place. Rook d8, c5, but he's also thinking about winning, so he's fixing the pawn structure and prepares rook a8. I mean, I don't see how you win this with white. I see how you lose, but I see that the counterplay is there. And okay, king e6 he did not go for. I would do this in a major way. Of course, I would have said that. King g7, b4, h6, just releasing the king. Like he's still up a pawn, but he's fighting. Henry, g3, I mean g5, rook e4 now, king f3 check, rook f4 check, and king g6. And I always have rook f7 to protect, but the white rook is very active, and so rook b8 just winning a pawn now. Rook c4, but you win the pawn back. Rook c3, rook takes c3. Do you have any chances here is the question. No, 0-0 after b5. And of course he plays it because he's a grandmaster, and why not? Rook a2 check, king g3, king e6, c6, just opening up the pawn and the rook. King d6, rook takes, king takes, and it's a draw. I think. Can the king get in time? Does the king need? Does the white king need to get in time? Don't you have something like rook d2 in case of king f3? Hold on. Is this a draw? How is this a draw? Oh, you just play this, and you hold this game. Or you can play something like rook g2, I don't know. Oh no, rook g2 falls. Because you cannot get your king there. It's over now. Wow, okay. That's the like the only winning try for black. If you blunder like with rook g2, but I can still play king e2, and here is the point. Or here, king e3 just to stop the king also. Yeah. And Henry immediately goes for a draw. It shows that he was out of it. He just wanted to finish the game, and he missed his chances. I don't know if he was happy in the end to draw a grandmaster. I think he would have been happier to win against him, but all is in its time. So be patient, Henry. You will strike when you have the chance, but not in the last round, unfortunately, against Ihor Samonenkov, which is another kid that has grown. I remember seeing him. He played in Târgu Mureș. He has played here. He was playing against Nisipanu, the great Nisipanu. He was on IM back then, and he just refused the draw like 3 times or 2 times from Nisipanu. And yeah, it's just insane how much he has grown. and his rating is 25996, almost 2600, and so he's rated 140, almost 139 elo more than Henry, and he's a grandmaster equal. He could have done more from up until here. The last I saw him 4 years ago in 2022. But okay, so let's see how it's going on. Henry again with the pawn on e4. So he has served with both hands almost half the rounds, e4 and d4. So we get to learn about this boy from Constanza, I think he is, Henry. And now pawn to c3. So we are playing against the Caro Khan. That's basically what Henry does. And he is setting up for a positional game. Is the exchange variation, but don't go anywhere because maybe we'll have some fun. Like, so black will win in 48 moves. Let's see, h3, g6, knight f3. Sorry about the spoiler, but okay, whatever. It's not like I didn't show here, right? You can see on the right side if you had stopped the video. Anyway, knight b5, I mean bishop b5, bishop g7, just developing. It's the opening. It's very natural, the way of development. And Ihor is the one who uses a lot of time now. And Henry uses the time from his opponent to win some, I mean, to just play some moves on his time. And queen b6, okay, moving the queen again, same piece twice, but hitting the bishop and the next three on the b3 pawn. Queen b3, just defending stuff. Knight a5, hitting the queen, and it's annoying. Queen b4, a6 now. Bishop to f1, and you can capture, and he does so. And his point is that I ruined your pawn structure. Does he go knight c4? He does go for knight c4. It turns out that you have to take the knight, and d takes c4, and my point of view is that black's pawn structure is improved. Knight d5 is an idea. Pawn to b5 is an idea. Black has a nice pawn on c4, and it's a support grip for bishop d3 next. So he starts with the h6, Ihor. Uh, but is it the best way? Bishop to e6 was the better move, better attempt, and rook fd8 and maybe rook ac8. But rook fe8 was also another idea, maybe with some, I don't know what's rook fe8 doing though. Rook ad1, rook ad8, just moving the rooks. Okay, rook c1 then, or knight e5, bishop to e6. Okay, so rook fe8, bishop to e6, maybe knight d7 or knight d5. Maybe I just want to overprotect e7 with the same idea that h6. h6 doesn't allow bishop g5, and rook f8 just discourages. When the rook came to e8, just overprotecting e7 discouraged any bishop g5, any of that sort. Okay, my final alarm is off. Whatever, man. 5 more minutes, and that's it. Rook fd8 now, bishop to f4, bishop to e6, bishop to c7. Now for the next video, I know this is the third one. I know it's 2 hours and 30, maybe 40 minutes, 32 minutes. I know I'm just saying again and again I'm gonna make it shorter, but I just can't. I just can't. Guys, you guys give me some suggestions, give me some advice. How can I present them faster, not lose any quality, still explain to you guys, make it engaging, and get more views, make it short. How to do it? How do I do it? Make it exciting too. You guys let me know down in the comments down below. Please, please, I'm begging you. Bishop to e5 now, pawn to b6. Ihor is just making small improvements. 20 minutes ahead on the clock is Ihor. Henry plays rook ad1, trying to finish up his development. I think Henry would have loved to switch colors and play black in this position. Bishop takes g7, king takes g7, knight to e5, rook c7, king h2, rook to d8, rook d2, pawn to g5, pawn to g3. Nothing major happening, so we don't really care. Unless it's something major, not something minor, we would care. But if it's something minor, we don't really care. So rook c1, bishop b7, knight e2, pawn to b5, knight c3. So black has fixed his pawn structure. He is better as his pieces are better, or his pawn structure, but I've said about that. f6 is an idea. So anyway, knight takes c3, rook takes c3. and h5. So he got space on the king side, he got space on the queen side, he got a nice bishop. But I wonder about pawn to b3, which Henry does not play for some reason. I guess f6 was the point. F6 was coming, and it still can come, but he holds on to it with g4. And then after takes, he wants to play f6 for sure. So takes f6, yep. I've told you guys, now h takes g4 for sure. And now knight h4 is move 35. You guys don't need to suffer anymore, any longer. It's gonna happen soon. Bishop to e4, just controlling the knight. It's just a brilliant positional game from the black side, from Ihor Samonenko. Maybe I actually, you know what I mean? Maybe I actually just take a screenshot of this and just put it as the thumbnail. Maybe it's a better thumbnail. The other screenshots, I can do other clips, short videos, you know, like shorts or some other stuff. Maybe I can post on other platforms like TikTok or IG. Guys, also one question: would you watch videos on me on TikTok with me? Would you watch TikToks? Would you watch Reels on Instagram with me? Just say yes down below, please. Major question. It's not a minor question. Come on. Would you watch, would you or not? You would not watch any videos of chess on me with me on other platforms. Anyway, getting back to the game, bishop to d3. Henry is down to his seconds. Oh no, sorry. So here, bishop to d3. So anyway, f5 was played with 2 seconds. Bishop d3, just killing any hopes for what? Oh, 1 second for Henry. It's brutal, man. It's very brutal. Ihor has 14 minutes. My guy, my boy. It's just why? Why are you doing this to yourself? This is a very nice exemplary how to manage your time by Ihor Samonenkov and how to play the position positionally, strategically. So king f7 by Ihor, rook e3 by Henry with 2 seconds, from 2 seconds on the clock. You see 32 because it's added 30 seconds every time, every turn. Just rook d7, just just double sack. King g1, finally the time control. He played this with 3 seconds. And now bishop to e4 by e4. Henry goes of a double stack again, 2. But then black infiltrates, and then rook e1 blocking, takes, and the bishop is hanging, so bishop returns to d3. And Ihor, I think, I don't know, but he might be happy as swapping one pair of rooks. And yeah, it's good. So anyway, the position is simpler. Black is still up a pawn, and yeah, just a major difference in activity of the pieces, and it's almost gonna be 2 pawns up for black, and he just gets f5 for e7. Okay, another timer is off, so let's go. Knight takes e7, but he found rook d1 check, king f2, and then bishop to d7, and then it happened rook e2, and then rook d6, and Henry just resigned as he lost heart and he didn't want to defend anymore. You have the white pieces, it's the last round, and that's it. It's brutal. He did have time to, right now, 13 minutes. It just seems that he doesn't value his time too much. I mean, why would you? Who would as a kid, right? At the age of 14 or 15 or 13, I don't know. But it's +6 position. Other than the time and the being sad and depressed, just in a practical and in an objective way, what do you play with white? If you play something non-customary with like king e1, bishop to e6 just traps the knight, and it's a major trouble for white. It's a major bad position. The knight is gonna be lost, and that's it. And I mean, you cannot go here, you cannot go here, you cannot go anywhere. It's just over. Every move will win the knight. And there's not even any sort of counterplay. A4 just loses the pawn. And rook e4, just bishop to e6. Everything is guarded, unfortunately. And you have to give your knight in the best way. And you still need to play. But Henry said it's too much. It's enough. I've had enough. 6.5 out of 11 is fine. 6.5 out of 10 was fine already. But I'm not gonna win the European Championship, be the champion of Europe. Maybe next year, maybe next year's, but okay. He did show up, he did fight, he did play as a young boy, and he didn't lose any rating. He got like +3 rating, not too much, not too little, and he goes home with a lot of experience. Performance as his rating 2470. It's almost, I would have said average, but I'm trying to use a better selection of my words. He did have strong opponents. Grandmaster, he played against three grandmasters and then two in the end, and he made two draws, actually three against grandmasters, and he lost two games. So those are definitely results to look at. He missed the win definitely. In which game? In that one, I think with black against Jakub, right? Yeah, I think against Jacob. Isn't that right? For sure. No? No, 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 not against Jacob. Or did he? Was it against him? Yes, it was against Jacob. Yes, from Poland. Okay, but anyway, this was the clip. That's everything. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Take it or leave it as it is. Thanks for watching. Sorry if I wasted some of your time, a lot of your time, or your attention, but I'm just here, I'm just making videos, and I'm just happy. I would say that I'm thankful and grateful for you watching me, those of you who finished the video in a major way and got to the end of the clip. But yeah, I need to fix this issue to make videos shorter, but I could do it if I would do parts, but I just don't want to do it. I just want to just record one clip, be done with it, and just upload it and move on with my life. I have other things to do and don't want to record and record and upload and upload and upload and upload. And if I want views, I'm just gonna do some shorts and TikToks and reels. So guys, remember to respond to me in the comments down below if you would watch me in shorter videos, and yeah, I might consider some English for videos. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. I appreciate you being with me on this journey of creating and you know in a major way upgrading the YouTube channel and growing it, as I've been stagnant for the last months, half a year, stagnant. I've tried to be consistent in a major way a lot of months ago, but I've been very minor with the consistency, and it's been quite troublesome and quite bad. And it's 12:38, 28 a.m. It's not a good sign. Another, this is the last time. All right, that's it. 3 seconds. I stopped before it rang. But anyway, I'm just sacrificing a lot of things. I'm sacrificing my time. I'm sacrificing my sleep. It's late. I just wanted to say that. Now I have three jobs. So basically two jobs besides being a chess instructor. I'm gonna start in a couple of days at the second job location, but it's not easy, guys. It's not easy, and I'm still doing YouTube clips, YouTube videos. But I hope you guys enjoy that. I took 3 hours of my time for you guys. And not only I did it today, I did it a couple of days ago. And it affected me personally. It affected me professionally as I went to work with 3 hours of sleep and I was just raging and mad. And I had to clean this and work here because I work in the kitchen there. And it was no major way. It was a minor way. It was a bad way. And I'm just glad that I had today and tomorrow free, but I still have to work as being a chess instructor and I still have to tend to the YouTube channel. So even though I'm free from the job, the main job, I'm gonna say it at Burger King, who cares? I don't really care. I don't give a fuck. I'm not ashamed anymore. And even if I'm free from that job on these 2 days, today was my talk at the second job to get hired, and I have to do call it medicina munci and then get hired and then come to work at the second job part time, but still be a chess instructor. And okay, the second job is also at a restaurant, but we'll see. And Of course, I had when I was in America, I had four jobs, so I can do it. If I cannot do it, then it cannot be done, as 50 Cent says. But I can for sure do it, and I'm gonna do it. But I just want you guys to know that I'm not gonna abandon you anytime soon. Probably in a major later on in life. Way. Sorry about that, but for sure not going back, not going away in the next 1, 2 years. I hope so, but I don't know what life holds for me in 5 years or 10 years. But I just wanna grow the YouTube channel. And I just wanna take care of it, and I just wanna help people be better at chess. Not only do that, but I want some communication. I want some interaction. I just want some fun, some attention. Sometimes I just want to express myself. I just want to get things off my chest. But I know sometimes I need to go on my podcast and do it faceless, as there's nobody looking at me and nobody judging me. As just recently when I did the YouTube videos in Romanian, my own mother tongue language, my main language, of course, my native language, it just occurred to me that the last comments, every single video was like just criticizing and just bad comments. Like one video I had a comment, ce ai făcut de te-ai pizdit în frunte? What does that even mean? It's like a way of swearing, telling how did I hit myself in the head, or was just making fun of me, and all of these bullshit comments of like like criticizing, or you need to buy a microphone, you need to do this and you need to do that, you need to, oh, why is your voice lower? Why is the volume lower? All of these bullshit questions, and people try to give me ideas. And when their ideas are just so fucking annoying, I'm just like, okay. For example, today I was like, why do you guys, motherfuckers? I would say those people who just criticize me and they're like my enemies, just say these things. Why would you give me ideas? Give me some fucking subscribers. Just go on, man, and just share the clips, just share the YouTube channels. Fuck those ideas. I come with the fucking ideas. Just fuck off and be good, be nice, and shut the fuck up. Shut your mouth and just do your role as a fucking spectator. If you're not doing your role, then I've started to downgrade, to go down a spiral and be bad at being a content creator, be bad at as a chess coach, because I'm not asking you guys of anything. You know what I mean? So I need to start asking, and when I was asking of you guys sharing, but I'm not asking you guys in English because I haven't done content in English, but I asked people in Romanian. And when people didn't do those things, I got mad. I got very upset when people had the audacity and the courage to still leave comments, and they left hateful comments. And they just, my viewership got dropped. I mean, not too much, because I didn't have any views anyway, like only major, like max like 100 views, and the lowest was like 10 views. But when you see a clip, I mean, okay, the max clip do have like 300 views for sure, but the average was like 100 views, or 120. But I mean, when I had a successful video, but when I get dropped to like 10 views or 20 views, what the fuck am I even struggling? Why am I even doing these clips, guys? Why, when nobody is watching, when nobody is saying good things, when everybody is just like banging and just commenting, they're not watching, they're just like talking behind your back, they're not leaving a good comment or just saying things to your face, if hey, do this, or okay, hey, I did this, I understand what you're going through, maybe I can help you because I relate to you because I do the same thing. But some people, when they don't do the same thing, they want to give advice, they think they care, and they think they know what they are saying, when they are not in the same position, but they don't know what they are saying, and they should shut the fuck up, they should fuck off, and they should leave me the fuck alone, better leave me the fuck alone than saying bad things. If you don't have anything good to say, then shut the fuck up, don't watch it, move on, and get the fuck on with your life, bitch. And I'm just mad about it, and I'm just saying this, and I don't even give a fuck. You know, you guys can put a label on me. You can say anything you want about me. This is me. Take me or leave me. But this is who I am. And I'm not gonna change for nobody, okay? I'm not gonna be some guy, weak guy, and some people are just a bunch of fucking mosquitoes taking free information for me and just trying to pitch and see my price as a chess coach. And sometimes or when you're posting clips for YouTube and the Romanian videos, and then when I see the not growing, them struggling, and the Romanian audience is so low, and I'm not getting any clients, any chess students anymore at either. And it's the sales are dropping, the money's dropping, and it's winter for 5 and 6 fucking months in Romania, and it's so cold, and prices are going up. It's just you're going fucking crazy. Who would even in their right mind keep going on, keep doing YouTube videos for free when so many bad things are happening? You know what I mean? And you try to keep your head up, and you run into a fucking idiot on YouTube, a fucking moron, who gives you a bad review or a bad comment out of nowhere, just because he just that day he felt like that, his dick just got up and he just wanted to do that. Well, fuck off, not on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna block you and I'm gonna report you, and shut the fuck up. And if you want to watch my videos, good. If you don't want to watch my videos, then get the fuck out and watch other bullshit you're tending to. And I've tried to be educating people, but a lot of people are very fucking animals, especially in the chess community. I'm sorry about that. I'm saying it, but it's true. It's not aligning. If you're playing chess, you're automatically smart or bright or cunning or stuff like that. No, you're probably a piece of shit who's playing a game, and that's about it. And if you don't have anything good to say or nice to say, then shut the fuck up. And if you're not helping me grow and just getting in my fucking way and just containing me from my potential and just keeping me low as you the fuck are, and you don't have any dreams and you gave up on your fucking dreams, on your fucking objectives in lives, then don't come to me, don't come and speak to me, you motherfucker. And that's about it. That's the bottom line, because I was very mad and I was very pissed, and I expressed myself in another video, and now I'm expressing myself again. And it's for those people with the Romanian audience that I'm talking to. Is not for the foreigners. It's not none of that shit. But I just felt like saying it, and I'm saying it better in English. And if you motherfuckers need translation in Romanian, I can say it as well. I can send you a card, I can send you an email, I can send anything you the fuck want, and just don't bother me any fucking more. Goodbye, and see you next fucking time, motherfuckers.